The LSU Tigers have beaten the Texas A&M Aggies 7 straight times. They've roughed up Johnny Football, temporarily saved the Mad Hatter, permanently confirmed Coach O, and sealed Kevin Sumlin's fate. But none of those Aggie losses involved Jimbo Fisher, who's looking for a first season statement win against America's 7th-ranked squad. It's LSU's 11 in the home of the 12th man on SEC Saturday night. Welcome to SEC Saturday Night, presented by Holiday Inn Express, Kyle Field. Last Saturday in November, number 7 LSU, number 22 Texas A&M. Aggies getting ready for the run out here momentarily, and one of the best environments you will find in college football. More than 100,000 Aggie fans, a few LSU fans sprinkled in tonight. Made the trek over from Baton Rouge to watch what is a budding rivalry in college football. Texas A&M has played 12 of the 13 SEC members. They'll meet Georgia next season for the first time. They've knocked off 11 of them, have never defeated the LSU Tigers since joining the Southeastern Conference. In fact, 1995, the last time that A&M beat LSU, back when they were a member of what was then the Big 12 Conference. LSU at 9-2. Are they still in the college football playoff picture? Matt Stinchcomb, some think yes.
Well, there's an outside shot of it, that's for sure. But you cannot diminish what LSU has been able to accomplish this year. You can tell that these fans that are here in this venue here tonight are excited for what looks to be a fantastic contest between these two programs.
With Matt Stinchcomb and Chris Budden, I'm Taylor Zarzer. Rivalry weekend has delivered. It always does. And this one is turning into a rivalry. Although Jimbo Fisher, the head coach of the Aggies, would tell you, Stinch, we have to do our part. We got to win in order for it to be a rivalry.
Well, for any rivalry to be fun, especially for the fan base, there needs to be some back and forth. And so far, as you've already noted, it has been very one-sided. LSU dominating Texas A&M, but you have to know Jimbo Fisher still seeking that signature victory. It couldn't be any sweeter were that streak to be broken here tonight versus LSU.
Chris Budden, how do those Aggie players feel about this rivalry?
Well, I spoke with Kellen Mond, who grew up in Texas, and it doesn't quite have the same intensity that the Aggies and the Longhorns did, but it's that streak that you're talking about that has added some extra intensity. He told me this is about self-pride. It's also about proving people wrong. He told me he's heard it from the fans, that this is the same old Aggie team with an overpaid coach. He said a win tonight would be a game changer for this program, and it would prove to those fans that this is a new era of Aggie football.
It certainly would, and you're going to see Kellen Mond hand the football to Travion Williams a bunch tonight.
I think he's one of the most underappreciated offensive performers in all of the Southeastern Conference, and perhaps even the country. A complete back, explosive in and out of his cuts, physical between the tackles, something that I think is often overlooked about his game. He finishes his runs very physically, and he is a key contributor in the passing attack for the Aggies. 1,606 all-purpose yards from Travion Williams, leads the conference this year.
A&M won the toss. They decide to defer. LSU will receive. LSU leads the series 33-20-3. They started playing this game in 1899. The Aggies won it here in College Station 52-0. But LSU has won in this state 9 straight times. And the Tigers will start at the 25-yard line with a former Buckeye who I know was watching his former team beat up on Michigan earlier today. Joe Burrow, #1 in the SEC in protecting the football. Just 10 turnovers for this offense.
Which has been crucial for LSU all season long. They are phenomenal with takeaways defensively, but to be dominant in the turnover margin, you have to protect the football. That is the #1 priority for Joe Burrow as the quarterback of LSU.
Listening to the 12th man roar at him here. Leonard Fournette in the game on the first play. Leonard's little brother had his first ever touchdown last week against Rice, and he picks up 9.
You know, one of the challenges that LSU is going to have in this game, both offenses want to establish the ground game, as you see LSU with their tempo, but it could be a challenge versus this A&M defensive front.
Nick Brossette, no place to go.
As you can see on that snap there, the penetration almost immediately. Kingsley Keke, and speaking with NFL scouts here today, they're taking a look at his play here tonight versus LSU. That is a downhill physical front.
Burrow incomplete. Jamar Chase couldn't grab it.
Well, one of the goals for Texas A&M is to get LSU into throwing downs. That's outside of their comfort zone. As you see there, could have made that catch. Chase should have come up with that reception in front of Renfro. A&M's weakness defensively all season has been their secondary play, but with a quick 3-and-out and an early stop for the Aggie defense.
The 28-year-old Zach Von Rosenberg, second best punter in the SEC. To Rashad Paul, who's dangerous. Fair catch here, right in front of the 20-yard line, a 48-yard punt. Here's Kellen Mond. This is his 20th straight start. He started every game in his sophomore season. Grew up in San Antonio, finished his high school career at IMG Academy. And Jimbo Fisher loves the connection he's made with this young man.
You know, Coach Fisher doesn't gush very often, but he is pretty effusive with his praise of Kellen Mond, and it's a function of his mentality. Mond likes feedback, he likes to be coached hard, and he has responded well this season to that coaching style.
And as expected, right to the ground, and Travion Williams, who's near the 25-yard line. As Matt told you, he leads the SEC in rushing. Travion does, all-purpose yards. Tied with Brossette with 13 rushing touchdowns. Leads the entire SEC with 14 total. Does have 1 receiving as well. And has flourished in his junior year in Jimbo Fisher's offense. 2nd and 6. And after a fake to Williams, goes to Sternberger, and Sternberger is ridden out of bounds by Jacoby Stevens. That's a loss.
You know, in talking with defensive coordinator Dave Aranda, he talked about some of the tendencies of the A&M offense. They're running on first down, and if you get into those second medium downs, 4 to 6, there's a chance they throw it, especially out of their 11 personnel. 1 running back, 1 tight end. They love to get it to Sternberger, who is their most prolific pass catcher at the tight end position.
On under pressure, down he goes. Devin White near the 10-yard line.
Devin White is the foil to Travion Williams from a star-making perspective. You see this time the speed with which number 40 plays with wins right now underneath the would-be protection. A&M typically leaves 6, sometimes 7 in to protect. Not enough that time versus Devin White.
If anyone's going to get you out of trouble, it's Braden Mann. And Mann has this one drop at the 42-yard line, and it takes a A&M bounce down at the 37. No score, almost 3 minutes in. Another 60-plus yard punt. It's a stretch, but there still might be a path for this man and his LSU Tigers to that playoff, as he's 9-2 this season, won 9 games in year 1 and in year 10. Said tonight the objective is simple: finish the season strong don't just finish the season. And a win sends LSU to the New Year's Six. Burrow on first down, completion right near the sticks, just short Stephon Sullivan. Second down.
Stephon Sullivan and the rest of the receiving corps are going to have to step up as LSU's electing to throw on first down once again. Opened the game with a quick pass to Leonard Fournette. But so far, the leading receiver, Justin Jefferson, who would have been that third down target most likely on their opening possession, perhaps hobbled with that lower leg injury.
And again on 2nd and 1, Brissett will lose yardage as it's Capers Smith making the play. Did the same thing on the last drive.
As the inside penetration once again. Quick upfield was Bobby Brown, inside out, and forcing ball carriers to bubble is paramount in run defense. One of the things that A&M does incredibly well, and something they're going to have to do throughout tonight on both carries. Penetration has diffused the LSU run.
Under pressure, Brissett to the sideline, too tall for Terrace Marshall. 2 straight drives, LSU gets 9 yards on first down, but 2 straight 3-and-outs.
Last time it was a catchable ball. This time the pressure getting to Burrow. As you see, as he releases it, feels the heat coming from his weak side. The ball sails. And you see Burrow taking a shot early from Malaka, who missed some time earlier this week in what was the concussion protocol.
He did clear it, practiced well. Coach Elko said before the game, no limitations whatsoever, as Paul with a fair catch inside the 10. Aggies back up as they get it for the second time. To all of the people that are part of our crew that have to spend so much time away from their families, but I'm proud to announce they've become part of ours.
I gotta tell you, there was a whole lot of turkey in the Zarzer photo, as I recall.
We had 2 of them. We doubled down. With Travion Williams standing at the goal line, and Williams makes one man miss and gets a couple. And it'll be second down.
This time LSU in a jam front. Guard, center, and guard all covered up, and they run Jacob Phillips through the A gap. That guard between the center and guard gap. And Travion Williams, you never want your running back throwing moves in your own offensive backfield. That's not ideal. He's pretty evasive, but you want him to have a clean head of steam to the line of scrimmage.
Devin White with back-to-back 100 tackle seasons after that last one. With plenty of time, underneath throw is complete, and it's third down. Jamon Osmond with the catch there, the sophomore from Houston, of course, was Mon's teammate at IMG Academy.
Osmond missed 4 contests this season. Right there in the middle of the season. Started at Kentucky, lasted all the way through the Auburn game. Came back versus Ole Miss, led the team in receptions with 5. Jimbo Fisher talks about Osmond, as young as he is, being a leader in that wide receiver room amongst other young contributors.
Travion Williams with the first down of the game.
Travion Williams does as good a job as any back in the conference of seeing the quick cutback. He doesn't try to bend it all the way back to the opposite side of the field. But if you're running a stretch zone play, that time into the boundary, he's quick to stick his outside foot into the ground and then cut upfield quickly and pick up positive yards, especially on a short yardage.
Move up the all-time charts and pass a couple of Aggies, Greg Hill, Cyrus Gray tonight, already in the top 5. On a 1st and 10, Mon looks around and finds Courtney Davis. Not his first option as Greedy Williams makes the tackle.
First down passing. This is something that Texas A&M will try to do. Jump in there, see if you can't get a chunk yardage play. That time, as you mentioned, time for Mond to come off his primary read to the right side of the formation, back to Davis. who made a nice hands catch.
Fake to Williams, and it's Davis in stride, and he's past the 40-yard line.
We saw A&M earlier this season. Courtney Davis was really starting to come on. Another one of those young receivers. Big body at 6'2", 200 plus. He took a shot and stayed on his feet.
Davis, one of 13 players from the Houston area playing in this game. 13 yards for him here. Come on, deep ball. One-on-one, Sternberger dropped it.
This is something A&M likes to do a lot. Dave Aranda mentioned this. Sternberger was at the end of the line of scrimmage with his hand down. A lot of these great receiving tight ends, they don't like to be down initially. Sternberger does, and usually, as sure-handed as he is, should have come up with that one again. Jacoby Stevens in coverage twice now. That time, LSU dodging a bullet with the drop pass.
Corbin blocking in front of Travion Williams and doing an outstanding job as Travion's wrestled down by the face mask inside the 40. Matt Austin, tonight's referee.
So here's Corbin. This is their ponies set. And Corbin is going to lead. He'll become like a lead blocker. And you see the line blocks to the left and the backs flow to the right. So the entire defense, their keys lie to them. You see that offensive front go to one side as it ends with the face mask. You tack up additional yardage and an explosive play for the Aggies.
Turns into a 40-yard play with the penalty. Williams makes people miss at the line, and Delpit drags him down at the 11.
This is the part that I think is so underrated about Travion Williams. And before Coach Fisher got here, he wasn't much of a tackle-to-tackle runner. He didn't spend a lot of time inside. He is not a huge guy. They have him listed at 5'9", 200. 5'9" with maybe 4-inch stud cleats in. He's not big, but he hides behind his pads, and he always finishes falling forward.
Fake to Williams. Sideline, and that's a nice dive by Osborne to get the first down as Delpit was right there again.
And Grant Delpit, we mentioned Devin White. Grant Delpit, another one of those playmakers for the LSU secondary, and needed to because Osborne in the open field is a dangerous proposition. That time Delpit, one of the best solo tacklers on this defense with 40 coming into this game.
And look at the red zone numbers, scoring touchdowns for both of these teams. They have really struggled in this part of the field all year. The first and goal from the Aggies right at the 10. On the 10th play of the drive, Williams, look at that lateral move, touchdown.
Talk about a physical finish. He is clearly in the end zone. Travion Williams uses every ounce of that 200-pound body. Let's talk about patience. He almost completely stopped in the backfield before he jump cut to the left and then burst into the end zone.
14th rushing touchdown, the most in the Southeastern Conference, as Seth Smalls' extra point is good. The Aggies strike first in a rivalry they have not won since 1995 and haven't done it once since joining this conference. Trying to change that on Kyle Field tonight. A 95-yard scoring drive finished with that man in the end zone.
Travion Williams finishes off, but watch Rashard Lawrence. He's going to get great pressure up and in, and it ends up being Keaton Sutherland who climbs up on Devin White and covers up LSU's best defender gives Travion Williams just enough time to dance around in that backfield. 53 yards for number 5 of the A&M offense, and he punctuates that drive with a score.
LSU from the 25, Monday at 7 Eastern. It's Thinking Out Loud with Greg McElroy and Marcus Spears. They'll talk football and want your participation via social media throughout the show. It's also available streaming live on the ESPN app. Jimbo Fisher said earlier this week that these LSU players look exactly like the team that he was coaching as an offensive coordinator. Said he feels like Marcus Spears and all those guys are still out there, just with different names, built the same way.
They got any LSU tight ends moving to defensive end like Marcus Spears? They've got some athletes down on the field early. As you see the quick break and out into the formation fast for the Tigers.
And for the first time, it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the game. Burrow fakes to him. And underneath finds D. Anderson. LSU has been good on first down so far in all 3 possessions.
And all 3 possessions opening with a pass on first down. And as you mentioned, Taylor, effectively. The difference has been they go to a run on second down, and A&M has done an excellent job of getting a negative yardage play on that subsequent down. Will they go back to their ground game again on this 3rd possession?
They don't. And it is Jonathan Giles just short of the first down as Devion Renfro rode him out of bounds.
And so you've taken your medicine on 2 possessions. Now you say, forget it. I'm going to make a long handoff and see if I can't let one of my big receivers break a tackle.
Mike Elko, defensive coordinator for Texas A&M, has made a world of difference with a team that was giving up 170 rushing yards per game. This year, just 80 yards as LSU go to the ground. Yes, and Helaire moves the chains.
You know, talking with defensive coordinator Mike Elko, he mentioned how it's different facing LSU because they'll attach their tight ends at the end of the line, and so the blocks are happening that much quicker. And they'll add a wingback even to one side of the formation, so you get these overload looks and extra gaps to defend to one side.
He coached against these guys on January the 1st as Notre Dame's defensive coordinator in the Citrus Bowl, that says the scheme is totally different from what then Matt Canada threw at him. Helaire, back near the 40-yard line, Elko said this is traditional LSU. That was a complete change with Canada last season.
With the Canada offense a season ago for LSU, constant motions and shifts, and it challenged defenses pre-snap. This offense is far more straightforward. However, it utilizes tempo at times to get defenses out of rhythm and uncomfortable.
Burrow, under pressure, takes off. He can run, and he takes a hit from Otaro Alaka near midfield.
Well, Burrow is a capable runner, a guy that if you do pierce the pocket as it breaks down, almost immediately Dalen Mack with the pressure inside out, as you see Alaka laying the wood to Burrow at the end of this. That is a shot, obviously, to the non-throwing shoulder of Burrow.
Burrow comes up and gives the first down sign. He can run a little bit. LSU at midfield. Joe Burrow's former team that he graduated from, Ohio State, scored 62 on the Michigan Wolverines today. Played in that spring game. One of Coach O's sons watched that game, said, Dad, he might be transferring. Safeties coach for LSU, Bill Bush, worked with Joe's dad, Jimmy, at Nebraska. Called the family, had an official visit. Coach O said he was blown away by this guy's knowledge of the quarterback position. It's been a great fit in Baton Rouge, a win away from the New Year's Six. Count. Dalen Mack is off sides on that play, and Burrow just goes to the ground.
offside, defense on the nose guard. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
More on Burrow. Let's go down to Chris.
Well, it's that intelligence that won over Coach Ogeron. He said when he came down here for his visit, we sat for 3 hours with his dad, who's also defensive coordinator at Ohio University, and we sat there for 3 hours and we just broke down film. I've never met anyone with his kind of intelligence, but it was his grit that won over his teammates. First day of conditioning practice, came out here running sprints, beating all the veterans.
Yeah, and Chris, he said that it officially became his team after the Georgia victory last month. Another long snap count, and the Aggies are ready for it. In the backfield, meeting Hilaire, OT as they call him, tackle for loss.
And the defense was initially discombobulated. You see Alaka winning right now, beating Damian Lewis at right guard. It looked like almost when A&M reset their defensive front, it confused the blocking scheme of LSU because Alaka unaccounted for again, and another negative yardage play on a rush attempt.
Quick throw to Giles. And he has blockers in front inside the Aggie 40-yard line. Pickup of 10.
Well, you've got two teams in this game that struggle in pass protection. So you can think if you're going to drop back, even on an early down, the screen game is imperative.
Burrow, deep shot. One-on-one down there to Jefferson, incomplete. As Renfro was running with him.
That's the first target we've seen in this game to Justin Jefferson. And coming into this game, obviously the leading receiver, 45 receptions. And by far, it's most productive from an explosive playmaking standpoint. 10 different catches this year of 20 yards or more.
You see he's wearing that sleeve on his left leg. Chris says it's a calf injury that kept him out of practice on Monday and Tuesday. Brissett dumps it off to Burrow dumps it off to Brissett, rather. And nicks up to the 32-yard line for 5, third down.
So again, you see the screen game popping up. A&M laying their ears back in the pass rush. This defensive front for A&M does an excellent job of generating their pressure. Joe Burrow, oftentimes, even if the call isn't in there, they'll give him a check with me. 2 different calls, and he gets to the line of scrimmage. He can check the different plays. But early on, offensive coordinator Insminger dialing up some screen passes versus the Aggie pressure.
Play clock down to 2. Brissett flushed out. Burrow, rather, a first down run near the 25-yard line. Joe has showed off the wheels a couple of times when the pocket has collapsed.
Back-to-back third down conversions with Joe Burrow scrambling with the ball in his hands. Coming into this game, he had converted 9 different third downs by scrambling. Make it 11. He's converted 2 more here tonight. A&M holding up in coverage, nowhere to go with the football. The pressure gets there, and Burrow still makes him pay.
It's the 3rd first down conversion on this drive, and what is the 11th play. And Brissett straight ahead for a few as Alaka makes another tackle.
So far, the only rushing yards to be had versus the #1 rush defense in this conference at Texas A&M has been on would-be passing downs. You can see this defense obviously wants to be able to play in coverage, having hemorrhage yards all season, and that's been the biggest turnaround defensively for the Aggies this year under Coach Elko and Jimbo Fisher.
Burrow keeps wide open space, touchdown. His 5th rushing touchdown of the season from 22 yards.
Well, that was Joe Burrow's drive. 2 third down conversions, scrambling. Why not allow him to try to pull a read on the backside, keep it himself? And you mentioned it, Taylor, show off those wheels to get LSU rather on the board.
A great game for his former team earlier today in Columbus, and a great start for Burrow here, owning that last possession.
It wasn't dissimilar to A&M's, because what you're going to see is flow this way, an excellent ball fake, and Burrow's just going to pull it and hit to the edge right into the boundary. You see a couple of pullers out in front to keep him clean, and it ends up being exactly what we'll see from Texas A&M at times. It's a quarterback run game. This time Q counter, and Joe Burrow able to take it all the way to the house. Kellen Mond has run it several times this year effectively, and number 9 now for LSU, hitting the Aggies.
He might be from Ohio, but he's been adopted by people from the great state of Louisiana. Let's just go ahead and make it official, shouldn't we? That's how we're spelling Burrow's last name now.
All you got to do is love crawfish. Is that the threshold?
It's official when you transfer to LSU and you say that you love crawfish.
Right.
He even said, you can put it on the back of my jersey if you want. I'll own it.
He endeared himself to that program pretty quickly. That would seal the deal.
You can stream college football all season long on ESPN+, so start your free trial today by downloading the ESPN app or visiting ESPNplus.com. Wearing that sucker out earlier today. Stinch and I were on separate treadmills, not the same one, but we were both headphones in hand on the ESPN Plus app watching Florida State earlier today. Gators with another impressive win. Could be headed to the New Year's Six. So both teams scoring on their last possession. Fake to Williams here. Mon over the top of that LSU defense, incomplete for Sternberger. They've targeted him 3 times, but unable to have any positive play yet.
And a couple of times on first down, and they like to do that. He was open, but as you mentioned, overthrown by Mond. So a little bit of a rocky start in the passing game for the Aggies. Sternberger earlier on what was an underthrown ball from Kellen Mond, dropped it. This time an overthrow, trying to hit one of the most productive tight ends and really receivers in general in all of college football.
A little miscommunication there, but it doesn't slow down Williams. Another first down run for the junior from Houston, up near the 45-yard line for 20 more.
A lot of heavy defensive fronts. As you see, that's a lot of bodies along the line of scrimmage. So the best way to beat that is to get out on the edge quickly. It's just a speed option. Something that A&M has run since week 1 this season. An easy way to get the ball to 2 of your playmakers on the edge. If Mon can keep it or pitch it out wide to number 5.
LSU gave up a touchdown in the first quarter for just the 2nd time all season on the last drive. Give up 1 to the Crimson Tide. Now 1 tonight, barring a touchdown here. That's the way it'll finish in the regular season, 7-7, as the Aggies are near midfield in a house that seats more than 100,000. Aggies looking to stop a 7-game winning streak that LSU has, tied up at 7 after 1. LSU, 10 guys from the state of Louisiana play for the Aggies, and 13 players are from Houston in this game tonight, as Mon tries for Sternberger again, incomplete.
You see Kellen Mond, that time again too hot, trying to force it into Sternberger. He was covered over the top by Jacoby Stevens, who has been matched up with Sternberger most of this contest. Devin White underneath that throw as well, as you see Stevens subbing out. Here comes Ed Paris in at safety, along with Grant Delpit, who has spun down close to the line of scrimmage right here.
On the 3rd and 8, Mon wide open to Osborne, first down Aggies. 13 yards for the sophomore from Houston.
That time Dave Aranda dialed up and kind of bluffed pressure. Had Devin White up in the line of scrimmage, Grant Delpit as well, and then they were bailing out. Greedy Williams in zone coverage, and Osborne just kind of settling down in the soft spot, giving his high school quarterback, now college quarterback, Kellen Mond, a nice target to hit.
You mentioned Delpit, he was also on that team. Williams, and Mond takes off. He can run too. He gets the edge. Stays in bounds inside the 20.
Both of these quarterbacks can roll. We've already seen Joe Burrow. Now it's Kellen Mond's time. A&M's been able to get going a little bit on the ground. You see it enough. Next thing you know, those defenders are flowing. And certainly that makes a lot of sense when you've got the #1 rusher in the SEC in the offensive backfield. But when Kellen Mond can pull it, he's clean to the edge. He's got speed to leave defenders behind.
Both quarterbacks now with 5 rushing touchdowns on the season. Mond throws again. It's a rifle that Davis could not handle. Incomplete.
That ball a little bit behind Davis, but very catchable. Davis had a nice hands catch earlier on a 3rd down to convert. That time, you could see that ball trailing behind Davis. He comes out of that break right in front of Delpit. That's a touchdown if he catches that cleanly, even though that ball was behind him. I think he's able to get his way into the end zone. As it is, once again, another drop. That's 2 that have hit A&M receivers in the hands.
Mond changes directions, shows off the wheels, 1st and goal. Actually, they mark him down at the 11, say that's where his momentum stopped. So it'll be 3rd and short from there.
Well, they're going speed option again. But that time, Devin White, or rather Michael Divinity, was upfield enough to where Mond couldn't really attack the edge and couldn't pitch either. So he pulled it and reversed field. When we talk about his speed, you know, that play was designed to go to the left. He completely reversed.
Moved himself up inside the 10-yard line.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, as we see it spotted. Yeah, they're going to take another look at it. It looked like Jimbo Fisher. He was all the way down to the numbers, and he's out beyond the numbers now. Talking to the side judge, he can't believe where this ball was spotted. Now, keep in mind, the spot is when the quarterback begins to give himself up. And so the question will be, where will this ball ultimately be spotted? As Kellen Mond wisely did so. But did he do it too early before he got to the 10-yard line?
The previous ruling of the runner being short of the line to gain is under further review.
He begins to give himself up right there. It looks to me like he's already past the 10. It's not where he ends up. It's when he begins his slide. Now, the end zone copy kind of hard to tell from that angle, but it looked like from the wide copy that he began to give himself up once he had reached the 10-yard line.
You see the side judge coming in there inside the 10. The ball right now is marked at the 11. So you would think the Aggies will gain a yard plus here, and it will be 1st and goal if they see it the same way.
As we mentioned, it was improv time.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed.
Wow.
3rd down.
I don't know. I got to tell you, when that ball is spotted a full yard and change shy of the 10-yard line, I mean, you're spotting that ball basically as he might even borderline initiate a slide. As it is, LSU gets a pretty favorable spot.
By rule, the spot of forward progress is where the runner's rear end drops towards the ground.
Matt Austin can't keep a straight face saying it.
So I guess what they're saying, I mean, as soon as Mond initiated that slide, they're saying the ball's dead.
So need about a yard, maybe 4 feet, with Gillespie, the 12th man, in front of Williams. And Mond instead will try to dive ahead, and it looks like his helmet and the football are right near the 10-yard line.
You see Matt Austin comes out of the pile, declares the 1st down. and it was delayed by 1 snap. You know, we've seen that a couple times this season, where a quarterback goes to slide and the spot will be challenged. It is difficult. And that time, though, the Aggies able to get the conversion and stay alive in this red zone possession. Last time able to run it in with Travion Williams.
That drive lasted 10 plays. Here's the 10th play of this one. Williams this time wrapped up by Ed Alexander, the nose guards in the backfield.
Texas A&M has played 5 different offensive lineups. And Ryan McCollum at right guard is going to get beaten. He's going to try to reach Ed Alexander, and Alexander's going to get upfield enough where McCollum was just holding on to Jersey for dear life, trying to slow him down.
Dave Aranda, the defensive coordinator for LSU, said Alexander belongs in the same conversation as White, Delpit, and Greedy Williams that gets so much attention. And Alexander coming on in the month of November, 2nd and goal. Mon tries to dive back to the original line of scrimmage. Devin White preventing him from getting any further.
That time, excellent coverage. LSU DBU, you got 4 receivers in the route. Where are you going to go with this football? Nowhere. What you don't want is a turnover. Mon deciding to trust his legs, tuck that football, try to get upfield. There's not always a ton of green grass to run when you're facing this LSU defense. When you've got speed at linebacker like Michael Divinity, number 45, and Devin White, it gets sucked up pretty quickly.
Mon, Sternberger, touchdown. There isn't a tight end in college football with more touchdowns than that man. He's got 9.
Coming into this game, Jay Sternberger had 8 touchdowns. He's got 9 now. He also had 6 red zone touchdowns, make it 7.
And now it's 14-7 after Mon finally gets on the same page with one of the best in the country.
Well, what made it possible? LSU doesn't blitz much, but they brought pressure this time. Great pickup, plenty of time, and Kellen Mond stands and delivers. Sternberger, touchdown Aggies.
Oh, that good one in the Palmetto Bowl. Muschamps boys go on the road to play Clemson tonight. Let's take a look at who is the readiest for this week's matchup, brought to you by Holiday Inn Express.
Well, it will be the A&M offensive front. This is what is effectively a 4-man slide. They're going to pick up whatever ends up over here. Now watch what ends up happening. They're going to end up running a stunt, a blitz, and a wrap. And everyone is picked up. Travion Williams is in there to help. He's an excellent pass protector. That is a clean pocket. 6 protectors, 6 rushers, and a clean pocket for Kellen Mond, and a touchdown for A&M.
Morrow under center, play action, old school football. Morrow, first down catch past the 35-yard line.
Morrow had a career day last week. Senior day at home. New Orleans kid, play action on first down. Again, first down passing by the LSU offense has been highly productive each time they've opened up a series.
It's a 6 different receiver that Burrow has found so far. 13-yard reception into traffic somehow. Chase made that catch.
I don't know how this ball does not get intercepted. You had 3 Aggie defenders in position to potentially make the play, and somehow that ball, it's like a ground ball with eyes, just kind of wiggled its way through there, and Chase coming down with the catch. 7-man protection. LSU left nothing to chance that time to make sure that Burrow had time to deliver that football.
Chase is one of about 8 LSU receivers that runs by you in warmups, and you say, What a good-looking get-off-the-bus team this is. Burrow gives himself up inside the 45-yard line. 5 more is he now has 44 yards rushing in the first half.
Well, first downs have been owned by Joe Burrow. If he's not throwing the football, now he's carrying it. That time, effectively, that's the same play that he scored on earlier. The touchdown in the first quarter, that time upended, but not once again after picking up positive yardage on first down. LSU offensively has been excellent on their first down execution.
Over 300 yards rushing for Joe on the season now. With Chase in motion now at the top of the screen. He goes to him and he bobbles the football. They call it incomplete. So it was Tyree Johnson who tried to get his hands on it. Chase makes the hardest catch in the world 2 plays ago. Can't grab this one.
And almost volleyed it to the opposing team, as you see clearly on the grass. They were trying to get Sadiq Charles at left tackle. See number 77 out there? That's a quick, they call that a Spider 3 tank. You have protection going to the right, and then you get your left tackle sneaking out there in front of the receiver. He wasn't out there quite early enough, and as you mentioned, Chase incapable of fielding that quick pass.
12th man rocking on a 3rd and 5. And it gets to Austin Deculus.
Dead ball, false start. Offense number 76, 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Well, in the home of the 12th man, it's fitting that the crowd noise picked up 5 yards for its defense and makes it all the more difficult for this LSU offense to convert. Keep in mind, on the previous 3rd down conversions, it was Joe Burrow with nowhere to go with the football, having to scramble to pick up the first.
Easy throw there to Derek Dillon. Dillon's inside the 40. And it'll be marked right near that yellow line.
That looked like a pretty favorable spot. As Dillon ended up getting lost in the coverage. Kingsley Keke there almost getting home, and saying first down as Derek Dillon was able to get past the 40-yard line, and a big pickup for this LSU offense. Once again, Joe Burrow coming through on 3rd down.
Bernard Fournette, who was in the game on the first play, in now as a receiver, and he's wide open inside the 30, and he's inside the red zone to the 19.
A&M was bringing slot pressure this time on first down. So you're not going to be able to see it, but coming right into your screen, and they're going to run this little swing route right to where the pressure came from. It was Deshaun Capers-Smith, who was coming in off the slot and never peeled out on Fournette. And Fournette now emerging in this game with 2 receptions out of the backfield.
There's a man named Leonard that is fist pumping watching this. Was fired up retweeting LSU's touchdown that included Leonard last week. And it might be a delay of game.
Prior to the snap, delay of game, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Let's take a look at how LSU is performing on the road, brought to you by Pilot Flying J.
Well, the difference has been this offense in the red zone. As you see, 9 drives, 12th in the SEC, but it's the touchdown percentage that has jumped up. 5 of those 9 resulting in touchdowns. Otherwise, LSU has had their difficulties punching it in the end zone versus kicking field goals once they pierce the 20.
Now outside of that after the penalty. And outside the 30 after Dalen Mack gets the sack.
Joe Burrow has hurt A&M with the scramble. This time they're going to end up running a stunt. And Dalen Mack, he's going to start on the inside. He's going to end up on the outside. This is one of the ways to kind of clean up the rush lanes. You don't want a quarterback to have anywhere to escape. We mentioned the protection issues by LSU. Dale and Matt doing a good job getting the quarterback on the ground.
Mike Elko said, I don't know what happened with this guy before I got here, and I don't care. He's playing his best football as a senior. Burrow just trying to get some positive yardage, gets back to the 31, but Matabike wraps him up. Third and a mile.
And they ended up doing the same thing, effectively different personnel that time. But they're stunting now the defensive front, not straight rushing. They want to try to muddy up the escape route for Joe Burrow. There have been multiple times in this game where A&M has held up in coverage, but they've allowed Burrow to escape. Now on back-to-back snaps, defensive front doing a good job of containing a would-be scramble from the LSU quarterback.
That yellow line is at the 9-yard line. Incomplete. And they're saying this is a live ball. Miles Jones initially ruled a touchdown.
It's Jamar Chase, the intended receiver again. This is twice now, and that ball's clearly on the ground. But twice now with Chase, it wasn't Chase, rather, it was D. Anderson this time. Jamar Chase earlier, as even the cannon fires.
Previous ruling of an interception is under further review.
And this Aggie crowd, they have thirsted for takeaways all season. That has really plagued the Aggie defense, but this one's coming back.
Wasn't sure if the ball hit the ground once it got in the hands of Jones. It did not, but it did hit the ground there.
And this ball's clearly on the turf. He ends up flipping it up. We mentioned Chase earlier on the quick screen. Was a near interception and another dodged bullet for LSU. Whenever you see a ball bouncing up, deflections, you get tip balls coming out of the pocket, you always hold your breath if you're the offense. And this time now twice where LSU receivers almost trying to keep the ball alive just long enough for an Aggie to come up and make a play on.
And Coach O breathes a sigh of relief.
After review, the forward pass contacted the ground. Therefore, it is an incomplete pass. Ball will be replaced at the 31-yard line. There will be 4th down. Please reset the game clock to 5:35. 5-3-5.
And an incompletion turns out to be a great thing here for the Tigers.
Well, it could have been catastrophic going the other way. Instead of setting up what ends up being a field goal attempt, could have easily been 6 for your opponent.
Cole Tracy from 49 yards away. He is 20 of 21 inside 50 yards this season. As Matt Austin, the referee, gets in position here. This guy, the transfer from Assumption College, leads all of active kickers with 90 career makes.
This is a long kick. A&M's had a block this year, but they're backing off.
And he hits the left upright, no good. He's had a fantastic season with a 54-yarder against Miami and beat Auburn. Can't knock it through here. Practice for the last time in 2018 at Kyle Field, the largest house in the Southeastern Conference, and maybe more impressively, the largest house in Texas for football.
In a state where size matters, that's serious bragging rights.
It's Williams again, and he's tripped up past the 40-yard line. To the studio in Darinoco.
All right, TZ, keeping an eye on what's going on around the country. Told you Southern Cal leads Notre Dame. Here's how. Vavai Malapaye, 7-zip. Trojans on the move again against third-ranked and undefeated Notre Dame.
You had to wonder, Dari, if the Trojans would give their best punch tonight. Off to a good start. Travion Williams now 4th all-time, passing Greg Hill in Aggie rushing history on that last play. He's past the 45-yard line here. He can pass Cyrus Gray for 3rd all-time. And remember, he's just a junior.
Yeah, I can't say enough about him as a runner. And they've done a good job with their run schemes. As you see the career rushing numbers, 3,200. 4th most in program history. And this is an offense historically that has prided itself on the ground game. Not so much in its first 6 years in the Southeastern Conference under previous head coach Kevin Sumlin, but it certainly will now.
Here, Mon will be tracked down by Devin White. Look at that open field speed.
You know, you forget sometimes that Devin White is 240 pounds. He had a sack earlier on Mond. He was on top of the passer almost immediately. This time, Kellen Mond, who's already demonstrated how fast he is, on the reverse off of what a would-be speed option, picks up 15 yards, just shy of the 1st down. That time, he just gets walked by a 240-pound linebacker.
Man loves horses. I think he can outrun him.
He runs faster than his horses.
On a 3rd and 8, Aggies pick up the blitz, and Sternberger is running for daylight inside the 20-yard line.
How in the world is Jace Sternberger not a finalist for the Mackey Award? I mean, this guy, all he does is just make big plays. He's had a couple of drops. He had a drop earlier, but in 11 of 12 games, he's had a 20-plus yard reception. Leads this offense, and on a 3rd down, able to pick up yet another big one. And his yards after the catch are just phenomenal. More than half of them generated after he's made the catch right.
There's 36 more there. And Williams for 3 to the 16. Already under 3 minutes to go here in the 1st half.
And you could see as this drive got started, you want a counter play, Travion Williams blowing up in there. You get a negative yardage play with Kellen Mond trying to get on the edge. So you get it right back to another playmaker. Williams starts the drive. You get it to Jay Sternberger on a big 3rd down. And now you've got yet another red zone opportunity.
And with all kinds of time, incomplete to Trevor Wood. Covered up by Patrick Queen.
Trevor Wood does not get a lot of targets. That time, the Aggies trying to probably go against trend. You do a little self-scout every once in a while. And Trevor Wood is not getting a ton of looks, seeing if they couldn't slip him out there, but excellent coverage by Queen.
Good point. He's called one of his 2 passes on the season last week. A transfer from Arizona. Terrific scoring touchdowns in this position tonight. But Mon will be stopped shy, running into Devin White there, 4th down.
This is a designed run for Kellen Mond. You see this, a QB draw. You got pullers out in front. Ryan McCollum trying to pull around, and nobody taking care of the best tackler on the field in Devin White.
Timeout on the field. Aggies setting up for a field goal. Yeah, guys, Travion Williams approaching 100 rushing yards, 96 in the 1st half. But Devin White keeping the Aggies out of the end zone here, and now it's a 33-yard field goal attempt for Seth Small. Leighton Mann, the punter, the kickoff specialist, and the holder with a perfect one there, and Small sneaks it in, and the lead is 10. Aggies trying to end the losing streak. Coming up at halftime, you can watch the live performance of the official marching band for Texas A&M, the Fightin' Texas Aggie Band on SEC Network Plus. Start streaming now on the ESPN Plus app. More than 60,000 students at Texas A&M University. College Station, Texas, just an hour outside of Houston. An hour and a half, closer to 2 hours, depending on who's driving away from the former rival, Texas Longhorns, as that ball goes out of bounds, and it'll give LSU the ball at the 35.
Free kick out of bounds on the kicking team, number 34. Ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First out.
Chris, how's the communication going with Burrow and his receivers?
Well, after the last possession, there was some clear frustration between the receivers, arguing going on. Burrow went over to try to calm them down and walk them through it, but obviously not on the same page right now.
Well, maybe he should say, guys, I have 10 completions and I found 8 of you so far in the first half.
It's probably the 2 that he didn't complete, the ones that were near interceptions, perhaps adding to some of the frustration.
Can LSU score quickly? Double coverage attempt to Stephon Sullivan, incomplete.
That's the second ball that Burrow has thrown downfield that nearly intercepted. This one even closer than the last. That time, Deshaun Capers-Smith, you got to come down with that pick. Showing those hands, get on the jugs machine. That's how you end up at safety.
LSU still trying to find its offensive identity in game number 12, despite a 9-2 record and ranked 7th in the country. Burrow on the move to the sideline. That's incomplete to Jefferson, out of bounds.
Yeah, the difficulties that LSU has experienced, and part of that is a function of who they played. Right on the heels of that Georgia game, they had back-to-back games where they had 5 plays in each game of 20 yards or more. Pretty explosive for this offense, and then those virtually evaporated. You face Alabama, you face Mississippi State, you kind of stumble around versus Arkansas. They have lacked the chunk plays since that Georgia contest.
3rd and 10. That's a good one to chase, and it's a first down for 11.
That'll probably quiet some of the frustrations at receiver. A near pick earlier and a missed opportunity for the Aggies ends up resulting in a first down on the ensuing play. You see Renfro another 5 yards beyond the sticks, and Chase able to come up with that one cleanly.
Plenty of time to scamper out of bounds into Aggie territory. Texas A&M second in the country in time of possession with over 35 minutes of a game. Lost the time of possession battle for the first time this season to UAB last week. LSU has been on the field the majority of the first half.
Well, and LSU offensively, although they will go up tempo, as will A&M at times, they are designed to try to possess that football, play to their strength, which is their defense.
Burrow runs for 7 more, and it's now 2nd and 3. And it's Chase to the 41. First down, clock stops as they move it. LSU with 1 timeout.
And as you can see now, you pick up that first down, you're in plus territory. Now LSU trying to snap quickly.
Burrow looking for Jefferson, incomplete.
Donovan Wilson ends up getting turned around on this throw, and that's why he's so upset. This is another ball that could have gone the other direction. As you see, trying to get the ball to Jefferson. He's in the middle of the 3 receivers, and you see Wilson, he ends up overrunning the route. If he's underneath this throw, that's a pick going the other direction. Instead, he overran it. That ball's a little bit lower because Wilson overran it. Jefferson could have come down with that ball. 6 points.
Burrow flushed out again, and Jefferson makes the catch inside the 40 down to the 37. It'll be 3rd down from there. Joe Burrow with 164 of LSU's 166 yards, either passing or rushing. How about this? Edwards-Helaire and Brissett have combined for 2 yards in the first half.
Well, this is a run defense that allows 80 yards a game, and they faced some pretty good ones this season. Think about the Clemsons and the Alabamas of this world. LSU's almost forfeited that run game.
And he takes off again and dives near the first down to the 31.
Looks like he's got it. He does. And once again, it's the scramble ability of Burrow and the poor pass rush integrity that time by A&M. Once again, the edge rusher caught inside, and Burrow with a clean escape lane.
Goes for it all. End zone, knocked away at the last second as 2 number 10s fight for the ball. Stephon Sullivan, the intended target, but Miles Jones knocks it away.
In the A&M pass rush, the D-line is gassed. As you see Miles Jones, he ends up adjusting. You see him, he's trying to break inside, reading the quarterback's eyes. Sullivan was outside all the way, and Jones, who is 6'4", using his entire length to break up what would have been a touchdown.
Bo Fisher said Miles Jones has earned the right to play in the last month with exceptional defense. Burrow leads D. Anderson too far, 3rd down.
Well, we've seen Burrow, the heroics have largely been in the scramble game. He's converted a 3rd down as a passer on a 3rd and long, but otherwise it's been his ability to escape because the coverage has been there for A&M on these 3rd downs. You see the 8 rushes for 51 yards, but the key part of it is those yards have been enough to convert on 3rd downs and extend drives.
And here's the 11th play of this one.
A&M so far has been content to rush 4.
Do it again, and Burrow goes down as he's dragged down by Landis Durham. It's 4th down.
And in some ways, it was almost better. That wasn't intentional. As you see Burrow, he's lobbying the LSU coaching staff. Looked like he was wanting to stay on the field. But Durham that time, and I think part of this was just a function of fatigue on this drive, ends up staying home and was there at the line of scrimmage to tackle Burrow.
Calling timeout to make this Cole Tracy field goal attempt the last play of the first half. Here's what we've had so far on Thanksgiving weekend. Oklahoma and West Virginia. Defense maybe not even optional last night as the Sooners set up the rematch with the Longhorns. In the snow, Washington beats Washington State again, owning the Apple Cup, knocking Wazoo out of the playoff picture. Dogs all over the Yellow Jackets in clean old-fashioned hate. And Ohio State.
Wow.
That was the shocker of the weekend, if not the season. 62 points against what was statistically the best defense in college football. And Alabama crushes Auburn in the Iron Bowl. The Heisman frontrunner Tua Tagovailoa responsible for 6 touchdowns. Cole Tracy from 47 yards, missed from 49 last time. Redemption here, and it's a 1-score game at the half.
Well, LSU able to get back on the board. A&M is going to regret not getting that touchdown in their last red zone possession. They had 3 possible interceptions slip through their hands, but they have to be pleased so far with the way that they've played defensively. Haven't afforded LSU any explosive plays. That has been the Achilles heel of the Aggies defense for most, if not this entire season. The run defense is intact. It's the 3rd down scrambling by LSU and their quarterback Joe Burrow that has enabled them to keep this ball moving in the first half.
shut down the LSU backfield, and Chris Buttons with Jimbo Fisher.
Coach, several third down completions. What has allowed you guys to sustain drives?
Well, first of all, we're moving the ball around, we're running, and we're keeping balance in the passing game and not letting them tee off. And then we're converting on third downs. Our O-line's giving good protection. Kellen's distributing the ball very well, making good decisions.
What do you need defensively to be able to limit Burrow and his scrambling ability in the second half?
We got to press the pocket, and we got to stay in our rush lanes. We got to stay very disciplined in the rush lanes, contest throws, maybe not by getting through, by getting hands in his face. We're covering pretty well, but he's creating space. He's doing a good job.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Burrow with a terrific first half, but down 7 to Jimbo Fisher's Aggies. A&M leads 17-10. Let's go to the Regions Bank halftime report with Dari, Chiz, and CD.
In the passing game, despite some documented frustrations amongst the receiving corps for the Tigers.
Aggies get it first from the 25-yard line. Chris Button to start the third quarter.
Well, despite those frustrations, Ed Orgeron, trying to keep his team positive, said, hey, we've been here before. We have our best ball in front of us. He said, offensively, we have to give Burrow some help. We need to be able to run the ball. He said, I think we can beat them in quarters, and we have the advantage on the deep ball. He said, defensively, we have to be able to limit Jay Sternberger and stop the run.
Texas fighting Aggie band got a little loud for KB there. So it's one of the things that LSU has to contend with tonight, but A&M gets it first here in the third quarter, and they go right back to Williams, who gets a couple now at 98 yards rushing tonight.
7 different times this season, Travion Williams has been able to eclipse 100 rushing yards. We talked about how important he was in the first half. Was able to rip off a long run to set up a scoring drive, 24 yards, before he was able to punch it in. And they open up the second half, trying to get some more touches to number 5. He is second only to Benny Snell in this conference as far as carries per game.
On with the pocket collapsing, tries to dump it off, incomplete. Jawan Osborne was the intended target.
I talked about Travion Williams in protection, and he's usually excellent, but it's not easy to pick up a blitzing linebacker in Devin White. We talked about his blitzing ability earlier, and that time got the better of Travion Williams, who usually matches up incredibly well, despite his lack of size in protection. That time, big number 40 for LSU got the better of the protecting back for the Aggies.
A&M outstanding on this down, staying on the field. He avoids the Delpit rush once. He almost ran him down again, incomplete to Osborne. As Terrence Alexander pressed into duty tonight, the senior from New Orleans, there to help make the play.
Grant Delpit able to get that pressure, had 5 sacks coming into this game, and we've talked about this man, a weapon in Braden Mann.
He's the best average for a season in college football history, and ironically it's Chad Kessler that he might pass. A 53-yarder his first time tonight. Another moon ball. It takes Giles back inside his 15-yard line, and he's tackled near the 10.
Wow.
That is a 58-yard punt. And it's Trayvon Fuller with the tackle.
You know, part of it's the punt, and the other part of it is the coverage. As you mentioned, Fuller, excellent job streaking down the field, because the fear that you have when you've got a punter that can bomb it the way that Braden Mann can is, even with some hang time, that's a lot of yard for your coverage team to get down there. Fuller, a great job setting up LSU and pinning them deep on their own 10-yard line.
Look at the rushing numbers for Brosette and Edwards-Helaire tonight. They go right to Brosette, and that's his first positive play of the game, 8 yards.
That time able to crease the A&M defense. They brought edge pressure from the right side of the LSU offensive front. Brosette just gets downhill right now. And you got to believe that they want to get them going. But LSU starting the second half exactly the way they let off in the first half. Their first down efficiency tonight has been outstanding. It's second and third downs that have been their undoing.
It's Brissett again, first down run past the Aggie, their own 25-yard line.
Well, those first downs are setting them up. They've averaged north of 7 yards on first down. And you think about how good A&M has been on third downs this season. The Aggie defense has averaged, forcing the opposing offense to go 8.2 yards to convert on third downs. That has not been the case here tonight. They've had to buckle down in short yardage scenarios. The Tiger offense able to open here in the third quarter with 2 strong runs.
9 yards and then 7 more, and now Burrow back to the air, and it's Jefferson getting loose. He's at midfield. 24 yards for the sophomore.
And another 5 yards after the catch. See Terrell Dotson trying to come back in coverage and drop underneath. And Dotson doesn't wrap up as he falls into Jefferson. You see Jefferson finishing that catch physically with the stiff arm.
Brissett picks up the blitz for Burrow. He leads Fournette perfectly. He can't make the catch.
Otaro Alakos underneath this ball. And I think that was more than enough. Watch 42. See him get his hands up just enough. It's almost like in hoops. You don't have to block the shot. Just get your hand in the shooter's face. And it was enough for Fournette. This is the 3rd target of the game for Fournette out of the backfield. He's made 2 previous catches and has been very productive as a receiver out of the LSU offensive backfield.
Burrow underneath to the 44 to Derek Dillon. Pick up of 6.
Full slide protection, able to keep Burrow nice and clean. They want to negate any of that pressure for the A&M defensive front, but so far, not lined up.
And this is a catch by Marshall, and a flag comes in inside the 40 down near the 37. Freshman from Bossier City, Louisiana, with his 12th catch on the year.
Might be an illegal participation for A&M on the defense. They were not lined up or ready. They looked like they were in the middle of a substitution when LSU got that snap off. And so far here in the second half, the LSU offensive front, they've had 7 different lineups along that offensive line, not only establishing the run, but protecting well.
Illegal substitution on the defense. 12 people on the field. Penalties decline. Play results in a first out.
You see here late, guys are running off. See here, looks like Dalen Mack. He's trying to get off the field. Big fella, he ain't never going to get there. He had too much ground to cover. You see that a lot. LSU will mess with the tempo of their offense, and they caught A&M that time.
Meanwhile, that was the 10th different receiver that Joe Burrow has connected with so far tonight. Bounce this one off to Brissett. Just a couple of yards as Kingsley Kiki makes the tackle.
And I saw earlier, LSU's hit a couple of quick screens. Kingsley Kiki, that time played the screen well, but those screen passes, it gets into a defensive lineman's head a little bit. We've seen a couple of different instances where A&M would have a clean run on a pass rush and they slam on the brakes because it's almost as if they weren't met with enough resistance, feeling as if they were going to get a screen pass.
Burrow fakes to Edwards-Helaire and runs right at that Aggie in front, Justin Matabike, and Landis Durham waiting on him.
This time we've mentioned Matabike, and the coaches rave about his development, how he's able to hold the point on that interior front of the Aggie defense. Now the Aggies on a 3rd and long with 3 down linemen, and they're going to walk up some of their linebackers, but still, again, some confusion with their lineup.
Burrow escapes inside the 25, first down Tigers.
Well, what did Jimbo Fisher say at halftime? We got to maintain our rush integrity. This time, Otaro Alaka coming in there inside. And Joe Burrow, that time just a fantastic job, escaping to the right.
12 more, now to 77 yards. Rushing on the game is Brissett inside the 15 to the 13-yard line.
And these scrambles, it has to be debilitating. You see LSU jumping the football again on a second and short.
Brissett, no place to go this time. He's tackled at the 13-yard line. Devion Renfro.
Renfro does a good job fighting back upfield, but he's strung out wide as Brissett. Good job of reading and reacting, because there was another quick snap.
This one another quick one too. Looks like Burrow is right at the marker.
Yeah. Back to back, where LSU gets lined up quickly, and the whole goal is don't allow the defense to get their cleats in the ground. You've already caught the Aggies with too many men on the field, snapping it quickly.
Ogeron said that's the reason we performed our best against Georgia, was because of the up-tempo offense they showed that day, and the 20-point victory against the Dogs as they'll measure this.
That among many other things. That was about as complete a game and as ideal a scenario as LSU has seen. And as we've mentioned, offensively, they've been seeking that balance and productivity ever since. He's got it. Once again, and it's fitting that Joe Burrow would have converted that on a sneak.
Aggie defense looks gassed, Chris.
They do. Looking at Alaka, who was bent over trying to catch his breath. They're wearing this Aggie defense out already.
Well, they're sustaining drives. Well, coming into this game, the Aggie defense, they're not used to being on the field very much. Only 626 defensive snaps in 11 games coming into this night.
Losing the time of possession battle again, but they're there to meet Brissett. No place to go. Second down, Larry Pryor. The safety's coming up to make the tackle. That was the 50th offensive play for LSU. Texas A&M on average only plays 57 snaps per game on defense.
You think, obviously you want to be able to roll guys in, but oftentimes those Aggie, the defensive front, which is their strength, it's the same faces. It's Mack, it's Matabike, it's Durham and Kingsley Kiki.
Option, Burrow elects to keep it. And he a big form tackle by Donovan Wilson down at the 7.
That's twice where we've seen Burrow get stuck by the Aggies. Earlier was by Alaka, this time Donovan Wilson. That is a clinic real tackle. Looks like Pat Fisher for the Washington Redskins in the 70s. You teach guys how to tackle that way. But a third down, and this has vexed the Aggie defense all game. The ability for LSU, despite coverage downfield, to buy time, but in the red zone, easier for a defense to collapse.
One-on-one, end zone, caught! Jefferson!
Earlier in the game, we saw Miles Jones, and he was able to double move by Jefferson, and Renfro gets caught looking in the backfield too long. He was watching Joe Burrow all the way. In fact, the double move really didn't have that much of effect on Renfro. He wasn't watching Jefferson, but he gets turned around. Miles Jones did earlier, was able to use that 6'4" body. That time Jefferson, strong hands coming down with the catch.
That was the 15th play of the drive, tying the longest of the season, and Joe Burrow was 4 of 4 on third down. How about this catch from Justice Jefferson? Tie game. I think we might see another Georgia quarterback play some too next week with Justin Fields. Can't wait for that game. Tie game here with 7:42 to go in the third quarter. Oklahoma, who's going to beat Texas next week?
Oklahoma, huh? You're talking about one team that plays nothing but defense and the other team that plays no defense.
Outback Bowl for the Aggies if they win this game tonight, maybe against, say, the Iowa Hawkeyes. Travion Williams, the fake, loading up deep down the field, incomplete to Kendrick Rogers. Haven't called his name yet tonight. We haven't called Greedy Williams either. He was right there. Next Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, the SEC Nation Traveling Pregame Show breaks down everything from the gridiron to the grill for Week 14 of the college football season. SEC Nation, presented by Dr. Pepper, right here on SEC Network, also streaming live on the ESPN app. There he is, Greedy Williams, one of the best cornerbacks in college football. His brother, Rodarius, starting cornerback at Oklahoma State, playing down the road in Fort Worth right now against the Horned Frogs. Fake to Williams. Mond rifles one over the middle, almost picked off by Delpit off the carom.
He's a little bit late on this RPO, and he's reading it. You see Devin White checks up, the window's there, but the pressure made Mond kind of hitch just a little bit. And Jacoby Stevens, who's had himself a pretty good night so far, able to get the tip. And Mond has been only 3 of his last 10 attempts. This entire half, he's had difficulty where the pressure has moved him off of his spot. He's had to adjust in the pocket this entire third quarter. Only the second possession, but LSU doing a good job making him uncomfortable.
And this one's incomplete to Davis, who was covered up.
Now earlier, it was the LSU receivers that are frustrated. And now it seems pretty clear A&M getting a little frustrated at receiver.
And that man, Kerry Vincent Jr., his father, Kerry, was an Aggie wide receiver. He makes the play there to force another 3 and out.
And Kellen Mond, he's having to manage the pocket. That time relatively clean. They had to wait for Davis to come open late.
Catch made, and it's dropped! Dropped by Giles, and it's picked up by Buddy Johnson. Fair catch made by Giles, but he muffs it.
He made the fair catch signal, but he didn't make the catch. Giles coming up trying to field that. Braden Mann, he kind of undershot this one for his standards anyway, and it ended up being possibly the most important play of this game so far. Braden Mann, who usually hangs it up there, backs up the receiver. That time, Giles had to come up to try to field that punt and ends up muffing that fair catch, and a great job by Johnson. The first takeaway, and the Aggies have nearly had 3 others on defense, and the special teams is able to come up with one.
Williams bounces off of Tigers to the 25. As A&M is still searching for its first down of the quarter. Yet now at the 25-yard line after the first turnover of this football game.
Tale of 2 halves. So as the continuation, LSU able to extend drives, third down scrambles. Joe Burrow, they get in the end zone with a great catch. And before that muff punt, it was going to be 2 straight 3-and-out possessions for the A&M Aggie offense.
Williams went over 100 yards with that last run. And he's now inside the 20, down to the 19, right near the first down marker.
That's the inside rushing that Williams had in him, but you never got to demonstrate. Nice blocking inside. Eric McCoy at center, who has been a mainstay all season long, as you see Ed Alexander slow to get up.
We'll take time out with him. Wolverines, Buckeyes will meet Northwestern next week. Meanwhile, Ed Alexander, good to see that he is standing on his own power over there on the sideline, but out of the game. Tyler Shelvin takes his spot on a 1st and 10. Mine. End zone incomplete. short for Osmond.
He wanted Sternberger on first down. He ended up being double covered. 2 deep safeties that time. Nowhere to go with that one, so he came back to his second option on a back shoulder throw. Let's see, 2 touchdowns on 3 possessions back in the red zone, 56% touchdowns. And they need to come away with 6 on this one. They kicked a field goal the last time they were in the same red zone.
Bond is 0 for 6 passing in the second half. Williams runs into Shelvin, the redshirt freshman from Lafayette, Louisiana. Took Alexander's spot in the game. It's 3rd and long.
That's the hard part. You take a shot on first down. You don't convert. Leaves you with the 2nd and 10, obviously. Travion Williams just trying to get it to 3rd and manageable. And in this half, Kellen Mond has not been comfortable in the pocket. Hasn't been allowed to be. And when he has tried to manage throws downfield, he has been under duress. And as you mentioned, 0 for those 6 attempts.
And he'll take off here. 1st and goal.
Well, why not tear a page out of the Joe Burrow 3rd down conversion book? Because he's practically riding one tonight. Look at that rush lane. It's huge. Mond still wanted to try to get it downfield. He wants to scramble to throw, but finally decides just to tuck it. Thought twice about trying to juke Devin White in the open field and just said, forget it. I need to convert. And he was able to do so to get a fresh set of downs inside the 10-yard line.
An 8-yard gain. Puts him there at the 8. In pistol set, it's Williams. Down near the 5.
He just kind of slashes his way to the line of scrimmage, does Williams. Even if you get penetration, he's often able to duke whoever it is that's in that backfield and still get upfield quickly enough to pick up positive yards.
It was Alexander who was right there near him, who is back in the game at nose guard.
As you mentioned, one of the top 3 or 4 defenders on a talent-laden defense is number 99.
Staying on the ground, and Williams is near the 2, 3rd and goal.
Another inside run for Travion Williams. You mentioned the workhorse, so he averages over 20 attempts a game. He gets his touches. A lot is made in this conference of Benny Snell and what a workhorse he is. Number 5, that's just run carries. That doesn't include receptions.
Do you let Kellen Mond use his arm here from the 2-yard line?
Well, that's the one element that A&M has that's different from LSU's. They both struggle in this area, but Kellen Mond has been relatively effective as a passer in the red zone, but he can also run if you get it on the perimeter.
It's Williams instead. Touchdown. He has the 3rd best rushing total in Aggie history.
We talked about how effective he is in just about every facet, but it was his running ability on this possession. Got him down there and then got him in there for 6 points.
Jonathan Giles, the Texas Tech transfer, unable to field the punt. Buddy Johnson was Johnny on the spot. And a few plays later, it's Travion Williams in the end zone again. And coming out is Edwards-Helaire. And it's Mann that makes the tackle at the 25-yard line. The last time A&M beat LSU was 1995. Corey Pulling finding Albert Connell for the touchdown, but it was Leland McElroy. Look at those shoulder pads.
God.
A 3-yard run there, and then scampering for 33 more. Aggies beat LSU 33-17. R.C. Slocum's in the house tonight, as he typically is, watching this one. The offensive coordinator for him that night, Steve Ensminger, who is the OC now, of course, at LSU. And bulldozed is Burrow by Devion Renfro.
They showed a too high safety look. Devion Renfro, he does a good job. He didn't tip it too early. He comes from the boundary. Watch this. He's just going to shoot right at the snap. And Burrow never felt it until it was too late. He got right to the bottom of his drop. And as he was setting up, Renfro was on top of him. Wasn't a clean tackle, but Burrow went down. Aggies have had difficulty getting to Joe Burrow and getting him on the ground. It hasn't been getting the pressure. It's keeping him in the pocket and getting him down.
So 9 there. And now the underneath throw to Morrow, who gets back near the original line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd and just over 10. Capers Smith with another tackle.
A negative yardage play, and they've needed it. We talked about LSU's efficiency on first down, and even when they've gotten into 3rd and longs, their ability to convert. Now this is a 3rd and 10 plus. We saw already here in the second half, early in the first half as well, regardless of the coverage downfield, Burrow's ability to scramble upfield. Now you see A&M with only 3 bigs, 3 down linemen in the game.
One of them dropping back, but a couple dropping Burrow. Tyree Johnson gets home for the 3rd sack.
Tyree Johnson, number 3, and he ends up beating the cut block of Nick Brissett. You know, and that's the difference. You talk to, running backs and what's asked of them. You got to stay upright there. You try to cut, steps right over him, does Tyree Johnson, and gets a sack.
LSU had all of the momentum, dominating the 3rd quarter. Aggies don't have a first down, and then the muff punt. Everything has changed as Paul gets hit immediately near the 25-yard line. It's been a roller coaster tonight for the Aggies. And it has been all season as well. Jimbo Fisher, hired from Tallahassee, raising that boot when he took the job at the end of last season. Lost to Clemson and Alabama, the 2 top teams in the country in 3 weeks. Then got it going against Arkansas, Kentucky, and South Carolina, but down to earth against Mississippi State, and Auburn did defeat the Ole Miss Rebels. And then they, of course, knocked off UAB, who was in the top 25 last week. So it's an up and down roller coaster. I think I might be sick.
That was aggressive. There's a lot happening on that roller coaster.
Fast pass for that. Travion Williams. Maybe a yard.
You said it earlier, Taylor. LSU had all the momentum to open here in the second half. You get the muff punt, a short field. A&M able to get into the end zone and then force another punt coming back to you. See there, Niles. You mentioned transfer from Texas Tech. Maybe the biggest play of the game so far. Certainly from a potential turning point.
Looking for his first completion this half. Doesn't get it there is Buckley. Can't make the catch, Chris.
Yeah, every time that Kellen Mond leaves the field, the first person that he meets up with is Jimbo Fisher. Fisher telling me that he's a guy who wants immediate feedback. I can challenge this guy. I need to be tough on him. As we talk about coaches knowing how to push buttons, he says, I know that the way to get him going psychologically is to challenge him.
Yeah, his understanding of the playbook says Kellen has plenty of input during the game. Jimbo's never had any trouble challenging one of his quarterbacks, as there's an injured LSU Tiger on the field with 38 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter.
You see there, he doesn't have any problems challenging his wide receiver either. Getting on Cameron Buckley, who should have come up with that catch, as they tend to carry Vincent, who was pressed into service to play corner last week. LSU's dominant win over Rice. He had a number of injuries that they dealt with in their secondary.
A lot of reasons. I hope those legs are okay. He has the lead leg of the SEC champion relay team that won the 4x400 last year.
Looks like maybe his right arm. You see him kind of holding that right arm down. I don't know if he fell on the point of it. Regardless, 0 for 7 in the second half. And he's thrown some balls where the Aggie receivers, it could have been difficult catches, but also could have come up with them, much like that one to Cameron Buckley. Part of the reason why Jimbo Fisher was getting all over number 14. He got to come up with that catch in traffic. LSU's not a big pressure team. Despite their ability to play man outside, they don't often bring it. However, they've been able to get there with just their down line often here in the third quarter.
Mine won't ever get a chance at this one. Down he goes, Rashard Lawrence, the first to it.
And they brought 5 that time. With Michael Divinity off the edge, you'll see him here, and then Rashard Lawrence, rather. It was Divinity that made Kellen Mond press up in the pocket. And then Lawrence able to get the edge on Keaton Sutherland at left guard. And it's been that story the entire second half, where Mond has not been able to set up cleanly.
His uncle Oliver did that like crazy in the 80s playing for the LSU Tigers with 16 sacks. It's Rashard's second of the season. End of the third quarter. The Aggies up 7. The best punter in the country is ready to do his work as we go to the fourth on a loud night in Kyle Field. Texas A&M with only 25 total yards in the third quarter, but they protect their 7-point lead thanks in part to a turnover that they got on this play. As Braden Mann will punt it again to Jonathan Giles, who stands at his own 31-yard line. And this is Mann's best of the night. The 26, Giles with a flag down is past the 40-yard line.
And of course, this one's coming back. That was a block in the back. Like maybe Cameron Lewis for LSU.
During the return, illegal block in the back, 31 to the receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, first out.
Braden Mann with a 56-yard punt there, Chris.
Yeah, the best punter in the nation took an interesting path to get to his position. When he was growing up, he played linebacker. There he is, number 11 for Cypress Fairbanks High School in Texas. But he broke his back twice, and it was after his freshman year that doctors said, hey, you got to take it easy. You can't do this anymore. No more tackling, no more lifting weights. So that's when he converted to being punter. He said, that was my only way to play college football. I asked him, how'd you get so good? I just practice.
And Brosette takes off as he gets near the 35-yard line. Mann is still making tackles, though. Made one on a kickoff tonight, and of course, recovered a fumble against South Carolina earlier this season on a punt. So while he's not supposed to be playing every down, he takes advantage when he is out there. Is Burrow and the LSU offense gets right back after it. Justin Jefferson wide open at the 46-yard line.
You rip off a nice run on first down, and then you go tempo and pop another long throw. And that time Burrow did a great job in the pocket because he had pressure around his legs. Didn't take his eyes off the route, threw to the open receiver.
A little trouble with Burrow and Brosette, but Nick is able to get the football from him and bring it to midfield for a gain of 4. Renfro on the tackle.
The exchange kind of muddied it up, and Jaden Peavy beats the block of Damian Lewis at right guard. Missed a chance for a tackle for loss.
Burrow cannot escape as Dalen Mack just holds on to Burrow's leg for what seemed like an eternity.
You know, sometimes I think tempo has gotten the best of LSU tonight. Because this time there was some confusion. It looked like, I don't know what Sadiq Charles was thinking if he had help from his tight end there, as if they had a full slide protection where the entire offensive line blocks to the right. But it looked like he was locked up with Mack, and Mack just kept on working upfield to get Burrows to the ground.
Burrows steps up, and now he's down. Otaro Alaka.
We talk about the secondary coming into this game, but for most of tonight, they've held up. Now this time, you see you had two Aggie defenders kind of hovering around. Both Dodson and Alaka were going to spy. They were going to make sure that Joe Burrow did not escape. So you devoted 5 basically to the passer that time to keep him in the pocket.
Alaka making his 38th career start as Paul makes the fair catch at the 19-yard line. Aggies with the football and on top. And a flag comes in here at the end of this play. Maybe an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, as both of these teams were jarring at each other. Matt Austin.
Following the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 6 of the kicking team. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, first down. That's number 6's first unsportsmanlike conduct of the game. Timeout.
And we take timeout with them with 12:24 to go. Jacob Phillips had that pick 6 against Miami at the start of the season, but he cost his team 15 yards here.
Yeah, so it ended up being at the top of the screen, and it was a whole lot of... They end up headbutting at the end up here. See right there, they just got up off the ground. Phillips just pops up and headbutts an Aggie. What a whole lot there. The flags came flying and cost his team 15 yards.
Tough call there. 15 yards on LSU, if that's all it was. So Williams is ahead for a few. Devin White again with another tackle.
That was the matchup, right? We talked about Travion Williams. Where they had the short field, the Aggies ran it 7 times. And Williams was able to finally get it in on the short field. But the other side of this rushing offense is this man, number 40. And we've talked about him not only getting pressure on the quarterback, but covering just about all of Kyle Field, sideline to sideline. And he tackles the front of your numbers. He's not chasing guys down. 9 tackles for Devin White.
And he's in on that tackle. Past the 40 up to the 42-yard line. You know, Dave Aranda says about Devin White that he has great intelligence. He's a student of the game. His passion is off the charts, he said, but he's got that extra kind of dog mentality that you have to have if you're going to build a great defense.
And he's the only one, he said, on this defense, really. It's not necessarily good or bad, but especially defensive. You got these guys that got to play with an edge. And he said Devin White, he knows where that switch is, and he knows when to flip it. And it starts right before kickoff on Saturdays.
The 3rd and 2. Mon looks to Gillespie, and the 12th man is past the 45 into LSU territory.
That'll be the biggest play of the second half for A&M. And how fitting that it would be to Gillespie. Sneaks out of the backfield and able to pick up not only a first down, but a chunk play.
You get that number if you represent everyone here. And Gilly, as they call him, a former walk-on, a senior from Katy, Texas, playing in Kyle Field for the final time, gets 18 yards there.
See LSU, they're trying to run a defender on their late.
LSU calls timeout after Kellen Mond has his first completion of the half. Progress, Dari. They were tied with the Citadel at halftime last week.
Yep, Alabama's getting better. Didn't know there was room for that.
Yeah. The Dogs are going to give them a game in Atlanta next Saturday. Georgia playing its best football of the season. Meanwhile, Kellen Mond now 2 straight completions. But this one is a loss and a fumble. It's stripped away. Streaking the other way is Michael Divinity. Touchdown LSU.
Three guesses who rips the ball out. Now, Travion Williams, he might have been down before this ball came out. He had to avoid a tackle right away. Greedy Williams came up, and it was Devin White who got out there, and he's got his, you see he's got his left hand that was on that ball. This is knee down before Devin White rips this ball out. That ball looks like it's out. It's bang, bang, but that ball looks like it's already out before Travion Williams' knee would have established him down.
Don't know how you could overturn that, given that it was called a fumble, and you see that ball is out.
Yeah. That was a good look at it. And Devin White, he does a great job of tackling the ball. He had that left hand in there on the football and just rakes it out. It looks like that ball came out right before Williams' knee would have been down.
LSU coming into the game plus 12 in turnovers, the best in the Southeastern Conference. Of course, had the muff punt. Tonight they have 16 interceptions on the season. This fumble here could tie it up.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It was a fumble, touchdown.
So White with the forced fumble, and Michael Divinity runs it back 58 yards for the touchdown.
That was one of the things. You come into this game, if you're A&M, that you desperately wanted to avoid was turning the football over to a defense that is phenomenal at creating those takeaways. This time, no offense needed. The defense scoring on their own.
Cole Tracy ties it up. The LSU Tigers led the NFL with 52 players on NFL rosters. This guy will be on Sunday next season.
Express, be the readiest.
You have to check this off your bucket list. If you have never been to Kyle Field, the largest house in the Southeastern Conference and in the great state of Texas. Tied at 24 apiece after LSU's Greedy Williams recovers the fumble that Devin White forced. And A&M starts at the 25. LSU has won 20 straight SEC games when scoring at least 20 points. This time they lost in this kind of position was against Florida 4 years ago. Mississippi State, excuse me, in 2014, 34-29.
You see that turnover margin. That has been the story. We talked about Joe Burrow offensively. Don't turn the football over. He hasn't. Although there have been some near misses. And boy, the defense does a great job of generating takeaways for LSU.
Kellen Mond trying to find a rhythm here in the half. And it's not going to happen there as he is lit up in the backfield by Jacoby Stevens. To the studio in Darien-Oka.
All right, guys, how about Kentucky? They have finished off Louisville 56-10. They racked up over 600 yards of offense, 340 of it on the ground. 2 100-yard rushers, 9-win season. First one of those since '84, guys.
How about them Cats? Maybe a chance to get to the New Year's Six, but certainly playing in a big-time bowl game, Citrus Bowl, something like that at the end of the season for Mark Stoops.
Yeah, pretties up the win-loss record for A&M as well. Big victory for the Aggies over the Wildcats.
For a 5-yard loss, this isn't going to do anything either. His divinity was right there to greet Travion again.
And Travion Williams is going to have to shake it off, because on the last play, Jacoby Stevens, he should have been picked up and blocked by Travion Williams. He wasn't. A negative yardage play. Then you try to hit Travion Williams coming out of the backfield. Wasn't the best ball, but 3 snaps in a row, and number 5 for the Aggies, who's their best player, as we've mentioned. He's going to have to shake it off, that fumble, and start playing.
3rd and 16 with a quarterback who's struggling. Instead, they just go to the ground, and Williams, and they'll pick up a few to give Braden Mann a little bit more room. It's the 4th 3-and-out of the half for Texas A&M.
You think about that pass to Gillespie out of the backfield. Otherwise, there has been virtually no offense for the Aggies here in the second half. Other than that muff punt, giving them a short field, and it took 7 runs and 1 incomplete pass for the Aggies to get it in there finally, even with that.
Man, a great punt. It's caught by Giles inside the 25. It's a 53-yard punt. Joe Burrow with one of his best games of the season tonight.
Well, the story has been largely Joe Burrow's legs. Able to run it in from 24 yards out. He's had to buy time. He's had to scramble when there was nowhere to go with the football downfield, when coverage held up, and when it didn't, he gave his playmakers a chance in the end zone. That time, Justin Jefferson coming up with the big catch in the end zone. And of course, the LSU defense scoring as well to tie this game up.
Well, Mond only has 2 second-half completions. Burrow 7 for 8. And Leonard Fournette turns on the Jets, breaks tackles as an inside the 35. That's a 46-yard run.
And Devion Renfro, the corner, he gets hung up inside. Nobody set the edge. And Fournette was able to get outside. Larry Pryor coming over at safety with a pretty poor tackling effort. Fournette picked up another 4 yards. Pryor just trying to bounce him out of bounds, and Fournette wasn't having it.
58 total rushing yards on the season before that big game. And now it's Brissett.
All of a sudden again, Pryor again coming up from his safety position, misses a tackle in the hole. They're going to need to be sure tackling. That's one of the things that the Aggies have done well all season. Part of the reason why they've been excellent as a run defense is they don't give up a ton of yards after contact. LSU doesn't typically generate a ton of yards after contact, but back-to-back runs where the Tigers able to get going after a would-be tackle.
Brissett, first down. Burrow giving the sign for first down as soon as he handed it off. He gets inside the 15.
Well, Burrow was a little premature with the first down sign. It looked like maybe Brissett wasn't going to get to the edge, but the stiff arm of Dodson was more than enough to allow Brissett to get to the perimeter.
How about the difference for Nick in the second half?
And tired. And you think about it too, A&M's offense being incapable of establishing drives, which has not been their MO all season. As we mentioned early in the third quarter, the A&M defense was gassed.
Fake to Brissett. Moreau. Touchdown. Bulldozing his way to give the LSU Tigers the lead.
I didn't think Moreau was going to be able to get out. It looked like he was hung up at the line of scrimmage, and he was able to fight his way loose and not only make the catch, but able to battle through Donovan Wilson, who had to go low. That's a big man at 6'6", 255 pounds.
His first touchdown of the season came last Saturday night against Rice on senior night, and he gets another one the following week. And now LSU is up 7 with 6:41 to go. It's their first lead of the game as they look for 8 straight against the Aggies here on top in College Station. A touchdown pass to Foster Moreau on top, and now the kickoff specialist, Avery Atkins, who's been a touchback machine this season. And he does it again, and the Aggies start at the 25-yard line, Chris, trying to find some offense.
Yeah, you guys were talking about Travion Williams trying to get him going and forget about that fumble. Well, Jimbo Fisher came over, had a long talk with him. He had his hands in his head, and then 3 other assistant coaches came over trying to pump him up as he's trying to forget and move on.
Yeah, Williams has been terrific tonight, as you see his numbers going from 5th to 3rd in all-time Aggie rushing. But he's going to need some help from his quarterback here.
And know what, the receivers for the Aggies got to step up as well. But regardless, Travion Williams, he's got to shake it off. You cannot let that one play turn into 3 and now 4 potentially. He's got to shake it off and get back in this game.
Mon with time, and Sternberger, the first half touchdown has been forgotten for the past couple of hours. Jacob Phillips on the tackle after a 6-yard completion.
That's a way to get going. So you talk about you hit Gillespie after out of the backfield, now go to 81. See if you can't get it to another playmaker. Try to help Kellen Mond out a little bit. Get the ball out of his hands quickly, because the LSU pass rush has done a good job of collapsing the Aggie protection quickly.
Williams stops and runs ahead past the 35 for a first down.
That time well blocked inside. I mentioned the receivers. The offensive line's got to step up too for the Aggies. They have been dominated largely by LSU up front this half. We thought maybe both of these fronts, offensive lines, given the new faces and the rotations that they've seen, especially from guard to guard, that they would have difficulty with the opposing defensive front. But it's been LSU's defensive line here in the second half that has played better than what we've seen at A&M.
Stinch Greedy Williams looked a little slow going off the field on that last play, and that was the reason why we had a bit of a delay here. Melvin Joseph is at the top of the screen on Osborne. Instead runs to the bottom and out of bounds shy of the 40-yard line. Tonight after this game, SEC Now team recaps all the games with highlights, analysis, interviews, and everything else. No one covers the SEC like we do. You can also see it streaming live on the ESPN app. A great weekend of college football filled with a few surprises. Number 7 LSU trying for their first 10-win season in 5 years and guaranteeing themselves a spot in the New Year's Six.
I'll tell you what, this game, one of the question marks was how LSU is going to match up with Sternberger, and Jacoby Stevens has done an excellent job so far.
Mon, a strike to Osborne, and it's another Aggie first down.
Osborne showing up now in the second half. He'll come into your screen from the left. We fit it right there into traffic. You got to find a window between the linebackers, and he was able to do just that. We talked about it. There's definitely a rapport that has carried over from high school between Osborne and Mond.
Greedy Williams back in, and here comes a reverse, a flip back to Mond. Incomplete, looking for Sternberger, but a flag comes in.
Kerry Vincent in coverage. I don't know. I wonder if this ball was catchable. It looked like it was well out of bounds when Mond let it go. He was pressured. It looked like Rashard Lawrence.
There's no foul for pass interference. The ball was uncatchable.
Yeah.
Second down.
You know, Mond, he didn't get this ball off cleanly. So you see the handoff, the flip, and then you get it back to Mon, but no, it was Michael Divinity that hit Mon, and this ball is well out of bounds. That's not anywhere close to catchable. Kerry Vincent for sure was all in Sternberger, but even if he runs that route cleanly.
And so it's just a loud incompletion.
Right.
And it's 2nd and 10.
Very involved incompletion. And a 2nd and long.
Mon with time, and it's Osmond streaking to the middle again, inside the 45-yard line.
Another nice pickup by A&M with the blitz. Travion Williams stepping up one-on-one with Devin White. All alone, and we talked about that. Williams got the short end of the stick earlier with a similar pickup with White.
And Dave Aranda, the defensive coordinator for LSU, said, we can beat the offensive line, but Williams is as good as anyone at picking up those blitzes. And then he goes to the ground and almost bounced off a Tiger defender there, but Delpit makes the tackle. It is a 1st down.
Travion Williams was a shoelace away from breaking that run. And Grant Delpit, well, we mentioned Greedy Williams earlier, but Delpit was able to get upfield quickly and make that tackle as Ed Alexander on the ground again. This is the 2nd time where the big fella has gone down. It looked like he was probably rolled up on from behind at the end of that play.
That was the big problem early in the season, is he could not stay healthy. He did miss a couple of practices this week. Thursday at 11 Eastern, it's Marty and McGee. They have you covered with everything that's SEC. Like everything else, you can see them live on the ESPN app from anywhere, fueled by Gatorade. Alexander, the junior from Hammond, Louisiana. He's been great in the month of November. Meanwhile, the man he came to play for was Les Miles. And Les' son is playing for Texas A&M. Ben, the freshman, who started his career at Nebraska. And of course, we all wish Les well. He's now the new coach of the Kansas Jayhawks. Coach O said he was thrilled for Les this week, but Les is not cheering for LSU tonight.
No, I don't think he has any motivation to do so when he's got his boy over there on the Aggie sidelines. But it's good to have the hat back in college football. Makes it that much more entertaining.
And the Aggies with their best drive of the 2nd half from the LSU 42. Mon, safety valve to Buckley. And the big 6'2" receiver from Cedar Hill gets a handful of yards.
Actually had a clean pocket to throw from this time, and he's looking to take a shot here. But there's just nowhere to go. He wanted to go downfield, and there was really no opening to try to fit that football into. It's something that Jimbo Fisher kind of marveled about. LSU makes you earn every yard, but they don't give up big plays. It's hard to do both.
Incomplete, looking for Osmond, who was covered up. It's Terrence Alexander that was there.
You see Osmond saying, man, I got to get a PI right there. And Alexander, he was a little bit of contact before, but I think he timed it up okay there towards the end. Osmond was wanting to get a flag to come out. And again, we talk about Mon, who's just trying to get the ball out. He ends up having to move or get flushed. Last time it was Glenn Logan with the pressure. But he has been a little bit off target, I think, because of that, having to throw off platform.
On the 3rd and 5, Mond has no place to go, and down he goes as Glenn Logan, that you just referenced, with that awesome hairdo that took Braden Fajoko's spot when he went down, makes it 4th down.
So here's Glenn Logan. Lined up right here. He's going to end up getting the pressure. He beats Ryan McCollum and just falls back into it, because really I think more than anything, Mon's looking downfield. He knows he's got nowhere to go. And I think at this point in the game, the pressure is starting to kind of get to him. It's this cumulative effect. You don't always have to sack the quarterback, but let him feel it. Let him know that you're there. And I think LSU is in the head a little bit of the passer for the Aggies.
And there's just 2:40 left in the game. A&M does have 2 timeouts, but Jimbo Fisher looking at his play chart right now with Kellen Mond on this 4th down.
Well, you know, considering your offensive production here in the second half, you got to wonder, you know, field position-wise, are you going to get another crack at it on the plus side of the field?
This is just the 7th time this season Texas A&M will go for it on a 4th down. They are 3 for 6.
You got a mobile quarterback in Kellen Mond. And so a guy where if he does get flushed, can he pick up the 1st down, or do you move the pocket and allow him to throw on the move?
Williams takes off inside the 35 and short.
He might have come off it a little too early, because I think he had Sternberger on a post, and instead he ended up tucking and trying to pick up the 1st down. Watch Sternberger. And he ends up just running a deep end. As it is, I think it was right. Mond was right to pull it down. Nowhere to go with the football once again. DBU showing up big on 4th down.
Dave Aranda said we'd rather Kellen Mond beat us tonight than Jimbo Fisher. Wasn't able to do it there, and now LSU goes to the ground with Brosette. And A&M start using those timeouts. Just 1 left. LSU could still be in the college football playoff picture. Now, here are the predictions that we're making for the end of the season.
I would like to amend my picks.
You would?
Yeah. I don't know that I have Ohio State. I want Ohio State and Oklahoma ahead of a 1-loss Georgia team that will have dropped a game to this team we see here tonight. LSU dropping that game to Florida and Alabama. Florida, the only time where LSU did not win the turnover battle other than Ole Miss this season.
Clemson beat South Carolina by 21. Notre Dame up 7. The start of the 4th quarter against USC. Meanwhile, 2nd and 8. And on an option play, Brosette will block for Burrow. And Joe's ahead to the 40. And A&M will use their last timeout with 2:22 left.
Got to trust to see if your defense can get the ball back on a 3rd down. And for the 2nd game in a row, a defense that has been really strong on 3rd downs has really struggled for different reasons. Last week it was UAB throwing the ball well on 3rd downs. In this game, it has been Joe Burrow and his scrambles more often than anything else that has been able to convert 1st downs for the LSU offense to keep drives alive. But also, what I think ended up happening is also pile up snaps against a defense that hasn't seen many all season long. They've already given up a season-high rushing here tonight. Has A&M to LSU, 167 rush yards. A lot of those have come from the quarterback position. Coming into the game, they only average giving up 80.
To put it away. Burrow wrapped up by Kiki and company.
Well, they went back to the play that worked well earlier. It ended up being the 1st touchdown of the game for Joe Burrow. It's a quarterback counter. That time played very well by the A&M defense, and they did exactly what they needed to do. The Aggies took a couple of timeouts. You preserve clock. You stop it while you don't have the ball. The only way you can stop the clock with those timeouts, let your defense do what they do best and give your offense the football with some time to work.
Coach O's going to take this clock down as far as he can. Call timeout. And then punt it to the Aggies with 1:36 left.
And the question you have for Texas A&M, will that passing game come alive right when you need it? Because it's been vacant the whole half.
Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, it's Thinking Out Loud with Greg McElroy and Marcus Spears. They'll talk football and want your participation via social media throughout the show. It's also available streaming live on the ESPN app. I know Spears is glued to this one right now. See if his LSU Tigers can beat the Aggies for the 8th consecutive time. A streak that predates A&M's existence in the SEC.
You see the punt return unit. Will they get one that they can field and return and try to gain yards versus a defense that has kept the Aggie offense hemmed up the whole second half?
Zach Von Rosenberg barely gets it off. And Paul with a fair catch at the 23-yard line. One of his own players got in the way there. They have 89 seconds to go 77 yards with no timeouts, and they need Kellen Mond to play his best football.
That means they're going to have to go about 32 yards further than they've been able to throw for the entire second half. Kellen Mond is 6 of 16 for 45 yards in this second half of football, and a lot of it has been LSU's ability to affect him as a passer. It hasn't been all sacks. It's been hurries, flushes. The throws haven't been on target. The receivers have not come down with catches that they could have made, albeit tough catches.
First and 10, incomplete into the hands of Buckley.
That's 2 drops for Cameron Buckley here in the second half. He comes out of this break. He ends up having to flatten that route a little bit more than he anticipated. You got to make that catch. It just hasn't happened. This second half, receivers will end up with the ball in their hands, touching their hands, and they just have not been able to help out their quarterback.
Pick up the blitz. Munn incomplete and almost picked off by Delpit.
And Courtney Davis stopped on this route. Munn was trying to get number 1. He's expecting him to keep running through this thing. You see one, he's kind of just came up short on that route. Delpit had 5 interceptions coming into this game, nearly coming up with yet another to put the game away.
To the sideline. This catch made by Davis, who reaches out for the first down. It's a pickup of 12.
I'm glad he got that first down. If he stays in bounds and he's short of the first down, the clock stays running. Battles his way to get to the first. They move the sticks and they're able to line up quickly.
Under a minute to go. Mon with time to Davis again, and another first down up near the 47. Clock stopped momentarily with 52 seconds left.
You can see now maybe the best rhythm we've seen A&M get into after back-to-back completions.
Mon, dangerous pass that's incomplete. Greedy Williams had just as good a chance at that as Rogers did.
Only the second target to Kendrick Rogers this game. And this ball was in the air too long when you throw into Greedy Williams' side of the field. Lucky that wasn't a pick 6 going the other direction.
No timeouts. And almost 54 yards to go for Texas A&M, down 7. Mon, trouble with the snap, almost went down to a knee, and that ball is picked off. It's Delpit that'll put it away with his 6th interception of the season. LSU is going to 10 wins.
just took his eyes off the snap. Eric McCoy threw a strike back there. Devin White right there to create the pressure. The entire play was off. Devin White, of course, right in Kellen Mond's face, but just took his eyes off of it. I think he saw the blitz coming. He knew Travion Williams was having to come in there for a pickup. They may be taking a look to see if Devin White, if they're going to take a look to see if there was targeting on Kellen Mond. And of course, LSU fans are be pretty upset if that's the case.
It stands Delpit for this sixth pick of the season, which would lead the SEC. But let's take a look here as White comes in after Mond struggles with this snap, and that knee almost went down. That is what they're looking at.
Yeah. Did he possess the ball when his knee was down? Or did his knee go down before he grabbed the football?
Touching a live ball with your knee down,
Yeah.
I mean the play is dead.
Looks like that his knee was down. And the LSU defensive coaches who were in the box right next to ours, they were out of there. They thought the game was over. They've gone right back into that box. Game clock with 29 seconds to play. And it did look like Mond's right knee was down when he went to field that snap after he muffed it.
Coach O got a Gatorade bath. As you said, the coaches upstairs left. This one might not be over just yet.
Takeaways all season for LSU. That's been the drumbeat. As you see there, is Mond's knee down? He's got his hands on the ball. He is. That looks like he's down.
And remember, you just have to touch the football in that situation. You don't have to have clear possession of it.
Right. In which case, it's Aggie football. And take an interception away from Grant Delpit. He had 5 coming into this one. And according to the notes, that would either increase him to 4th, 3rd, or 2nd. It's hard to say because they kind of contradict themselves about 4 different times. But either way, he's one heck of a safety with 5 interceptions. One of the best playmakers in any secondary in all of college football.
So it'll be a loss of 10 yards. And I believe that Matt Austin and the replay official are trying to see how much time to put back on the clock here.
After review, the quarterback's knee was down at the 39-yard line. Ball will be placed there where it'll be 3rd down. Please set the game clock to 36 seconds.
That's a heck of a...
Because Texas A&M has no timeouts remaining and no way to stop the clock, the play is subject to a 10-second subtraction. Please set the game clock to 26 seconds. The clock will start on the ready for play.
That's a heck of a catch by the replay booth. And potentially an important one, obviously. What would have been a game-ending interception by Delpit. And the Aggies still with some life.
3rd and 18. Clock about to start.
Here's Sternberger. He's been quiet most of this game.
And they try for him, and it's Delpit again. It puts a hand in front.
Well, they try to get it to him. Grant Delpit, great break on the ball. Had a pick before, negated, said Mond was on the ground. Therefore, the play was dead. Another pass defended by one of the best safeties you'll see.
Last chance on a 4th down for the Aggies. Mond steps up. Catch made at the 41-yard line by Davis. That's a 1st down.
They gotta hurry up and get over this football. Snap and spike.
10 seconds left.
Once again, Mond stepping up in the pocket. We've seen it. Dave Aranda said this kid's got a live arm. The difficulty for this half has been connecting with his receivers. It's been too far in between these receptions. Jacob Phillips with the pressure. He's able to find Courtney Davis, who here in this possession has stepped up big time at receiver.
41 yards to go for A&M in 10 seconds. Mond, catch inside the 20 by Rogers. And now A&M has a realistic shot after a 23-yard completion, but the clock will start as they move it, and do they get it off? At least initially it says all zeros. We'll see if Matt Austin changes that.
The offensive line was kind of shuffling around. They had 3 seconds to play after that catch and reception to Rogers.
It's awfully close.
That's bang, bang if there ever was one. With 3 seconds, you do have enough time to clock it.
In the same weekend 5 years ago with the kick six, of course, they put a second back on the clock for Alabama. And that led to one of the more famous plays in college football history.
1 second, hadn't gotten the snap, he's got it. The ball's down with 1 second showing. See the ball on the ground right there. Here's 1 second on the play, on the game clock.
After review, when the quarterback spiked the ball, there was 1 second on the clock. Please set the game clock to 1 second. The second down. Clock will start on the snap.
This is what got him down there. Kendrick Rogers, who's been quiet, he's been injured, had a shoulder injury, a foot injury. He's able to get behind Kerry Vincent and come up with a first down catch right along the boundary. The Aggies got downfield quickly and were able to get that spike to get one more play off to the end zone.
LSU calls its final timeout as Texas A&M has 19 yards to go to try to keep this game going and maybe into an extra session. Meanwhile, LSU has not allowed 30 points or more in 21 straight games. It's the second longest streak in all of college football. If they get off the field, they'll make it 22 straight.
So if you look at red zone targets coming into this game, the favorite, and this will be unsurprising, is Sternberger. We already mentioned, already has a red zone catch for a touchdown earlier in this game. He's got linked at 6'4", but he has been well covered most of this game, even by linebackers at times. You can see Ed Ogeron pretty animated over there on the sideline with his defensive coordinator, Dave Aranda.
Soaking wet after taking a Gatorade bath on a play that was overturned.
Here's Sternberger that we were talking about before. 12 red zone targets coming into this game.
Game on the line. Mond, end zone. Caught! Courtney Davis!
You don't make any bigger catches than this one. The Aggies are trying to break a streak, and he's working against one of the best cover men in the country in Greedy Williams and Kellen Mond, who has struggled this entire half through a strike, and Courtney Davis made it count. 4 catches, 64 yards for Davis, and a touchdown on the final possession.
And Jimbo Fisher elects to play for more football. Seth Small. Sends us to overtime. There is a flag down. It looked like LSU might be offsides. And does that change Jimbo Fisher's mind?
You can see him on the field.
He's talking to the line judge about it now.
Offside. Defense. Penalties decline. Kick is good. We'll go to overtime.
Kellen Mond to the sophomore from Houston, Courtney Davis, with the catch of his life. Sends us to extra football in College Station. What a catch by Courtney Davis to send us to overtime. We thought initially it was over in regulation as Grant Delpit intercepted Kellen Mond, but Mond's knee was down before he threw the interception to Delpit. And as you see here, Coach O took a Gatorade bath after that interception, which was overturned.
Gentlemen, come in and shake hands again. Okay, as before, you're the visiting team, so you're going to call the toss. Heads, tails. If I drop it, we'll do it again. Whoever wins the toss will have their choice of offense, defense, or which end of the field we're going to play at. What's your call? Tails. Tails is the call. It is heads. You've won the toss. Defense. You want the defense. Which end of the field do you want to play? Okay. A&M over here. LSU will have the ball, 1st and 10. Let's go, guys. Good luck.
So LSU gets it first. Aggies elect to play some defense. Each team will get the football from the opponent's 25-yard line. And we keep going until a winner is decided. With no game clock, you have to go for 2 once you get to the 3rd overtime, though we've seen some teams elect to go for 2 before that point. Here's that sequence again that we were just referencing. Kellen Mond throwing an interception to Grant Delpit, but Mond's knee down before he threw that interception. It was overturned upstairs, giving A&M new life. Coach O took a Gatorade bath in the middle of it. The LSU defensive coaches up in the box left, had to come back into the box. A&M throws a touchdown pass to Courtney Davis, and here we are. And it's Justin Jefferson on an end around, and he gets near the 22-yard line.
It's that swing that had to have caught up with LSU there towards the end. You thought it was over twice, because for a moment when A&M went down there to spike it, it looked like there was no time on the clock. That didn't sweat on Ed Ogeron.
Remember when Guy Morris, Kentucky's coach, took a bath, and then Devery Henderson made the catch in the Bluegrass Miracle?
Guy Morris, the Kentucky head coach, LSU winning it on the last second. This time, it went the other direction to force an overtime.
Burrow deflected at the line, 3rd down. That was Kiki.
Kingsley Kiki does a great job. He gets his hands up. He's not going to get to the passer. They were trying to get it to Morrow again. He's had a couple of big catches in this game, one for a touchdown. Kiki that time able to get his hands up and get the deflection. Largely a quiet night for one of the better performers of the Aggie defensive front, and another 3rd down. The Aggies have not been good on 3rd down here tonight, and largely because of Joe Burrow and his scramble.
And there's movement on the line as there was confusion with Burrow and Brosette there near the end of the play clock.
12th man.
The snap, false start. Offense 76. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
That's the 12th man. And it was like, I don't know if it was near a full throat, because there's a lot of folks that left this stadium and came back in. As you see, Austin Deculus, 2nd time he's been flagged this game for a false start. And it's owing to the crowd noise here at Kyle Field.
Listen to the 12th man here on the 3rd and 12. Burrow under pressure, sacked at the 32. Alaka got him.
He's got to get rid of this football. If for nothing else, to try to preserve field position for a field goal attempt. Malaka able to get there, beating the block of Nick Brissett. It cost LSU another 4 or 5 yards.
Tracy's 21 of 23 inside 50 yards, but missed one tonight. This from exactly 50 to give LSU the lead. Line drive right through. Boy, how big has Tracy been this season?
Boy, he sculled this one, because that ball was low from the get-go. I was a little surprised it even cleared the line, but as you mentioned, already missed one earlier in this game, bounced off the crossbar.
Then to win, as they say,
he caught that
for
one
the
thin.
transfer from Assumption College. As the LSU defense walks back onto the field, Chris.
And they're going to have to get their emotions in check, and quickly. Jacob Phillips and Kerry Vincent Jr. had to be separated. They were in each other's faces, screaming at each other before coming out.
The Aggies can win it with a touchdown here. If they don't score, LSU will claim victory. Come on. To Sternberger inside the 5, but he fumbled. He fumbled the football. Now they call it incomplete. Greedy Williams had it and could end the game, but a late signal is an incompletion here.
I don't know. It looked to me like he possessed that football before it came out. That looks like a catch and a fumble. You see A&M, they're wanting to snap this football quickly. They got exactly what they wanted. And Sternberger, who was lined up to the right of the formation. And it looked to me as if he possessed this football and it came out.
Austin talking to the crew upstairs and to Coach O. Sternberger was bringing that football down. Was it moving as Delpit makes the hit?
That'll be the question. Did he have firm control and turn to make a football move? See him here with Delpit coming in. Separate Sternberger from the football. If this proves to be a fumble, that would be the second potential game-ending play, and they're saying no, incomplete pass. Matt Austin went over there and consulted with Ed O.
No announcement made, and we play on, and Travion Williams inside the 15-yard line. 12 more, and another Aggie first down.
Outside run all the way. Great job that time by Carson Green at right tackle. Able to get Travion Williams clean and downhill to the perimeter, and first down yardage, a fresh set of downs inside the 14-yard line.
Fourth straight game going over 100 for Williams. And it's Mon this time, keeping inside the 10, inside the 5, and marked down at the 4.
Well, that time a nice block by Sternberger on the edge versus Jacoby Stevens. It allowed Mon to pick up about another 4 or 5 yards. Great ball fake in the backfield as well by Mon and Travion Williams.
Measuring here to see if that was a first down, and will set up a 1st and goal for Texas A&M.
Talk about a clutch field goal earlier for LSU. So you take a sack, you're able to get it in the end zone. And we have seen LSU turn A&M away once they're inside the 20, forcing field goals. We've already documented this is effectively a red zone possession. The red zone woes. A touchdown wins it, of course. The field goal only ties it and sends you to another stanza here in the overtime period.
Aggies at the doorstep, trying to end LSU's winning streak. Williams, first and goal run inside the 2.
Try to hammer it home. We've seen Williams with 2 now. He's been able to get in there, get in the red zone. You think of the opening possession, they ran it right in, and now you've got 4 cracks at the end zone from the 1-yard line.
A&M has won 6 consecutive overtime games. And they won't get in here as it's a tackle for loss, and a loss of maybe 2. Divinity and company were in there.
Well, this is a heck of a play by Rashard Lawrence from the backside. He makes this play, number 90. That time working against left tackle Dan Moore. He got underneath that block right now. We've seen him do it twice in this game. He ended up losing 2 yards. A great play by number 90 to push the Aggie offense back.
Second and goal from the 3.
The Aggies have run it every single time out of this formation.
Mon keeps it, and he'll lose yardage. Jacoby Stevens at the 6.
Jacoby Stevens is on the edge right here. And watch him close and then float right back out. He did not sink inside on the fake handoff. Mon pulls it, and there were LSU defenders waiting on him. Think about Rashard Lawrence. Get that negative yardage play. Set up the second down. Another negative yardage play. Started out at first and goal from the 1.
Mon, nobody home.
He's throwing it towards Courtney Davis and Kendrick Rogers' side. And clear miscommunication. You can see Jimbo Cook. You see Fisher coming out on the field. Kellen Mond likes immediate feedback. He got it on that one. Coach Fisher is saying, look, man, we can't have you going to the left side of that formation. Both receivers not within 5 yards of that throw.
Seth Small from 24 yards. How about that LSU goal line stand? And we play on to a second overtime in College Station. LSU had to kick a 50-yard field goal. Meanwhile, A&M got inside the LSU 2. They scored the same amount of points in the first overtime.
You can't say enough about that goal line stand by LSU. Rashard Lawrence setting the tone. Because you're right there on the doorstep. All the momentum is on A&M's side. You force a long field goal. LSU screws one in there for 3 points. And then you got first down on the doorstep of the goal line. You only come away with 3 points. And now they take the field again in overtime in back-to-back possessions for the Aggie offense.
You alternated between each overtime. So Mon on the 1st and 10. Upstairs it goes. Davis already has one amazing catch to extend the game in regulation. Can't do it this time as Terrence Alexander's there.
The ball sails on Mon this time. Working against Alexander and had it coming out of the break. Just a bad ball. You know, the receivers here in the second half haven't done Mon a ton of favors. That time Mon had time to throw on first down. And the ball sailed on Courtney Davis, who was the hero on the game-tying drive, including the tying touchdown.
Williams finds hole, Inside the 15, inside the 10, first and goal.
Just a zone to the left. And that time A&M does a great job up front covering up the LSU jerseys. Travion Williams gets outside, tries to cut back. Ends up being met by Delpit and Todd Harris, but not before he picked up a first down inside the 10. And as we just mentioned, the LSU defense was able to bow its neck with even less field to defend.
Williams inside the 4. Kobe Stevens making that tackle.
Again, we talked about Williams and his cutback ability. What I like so much about him, he doesn't try to do too much with the cutback. If he sees something open up backside, he sticks it downhill, especially when you're playing with a short field. Don't get too cute, don't go lateral, get downhill as quickly as possible.
This is his 30th rush of the game. Now it's Mon with Williams blocking in front. Touchdown.
The QB stretch play, except you end up getting angles right at the point of attack. You see Ryan McCollum, number 77, able to pull outside and escort Mond into the end zone. Williams, the lead blocker. And this time, the Aggies able to capitalize on a first down and goal to go.
Small's extra point is good. LSU went from celebrating a victory, which was overturned, to having to score a touchdown in the second overtime to keep the game going.
The defense stepped up in the overtime only after having hemorrhaged in the 2-minute drill the Dame tying drive and score. You saw Ed O just a second ago, soaked by the Gatorade. Kellen Mond, who had to come alive in that 2-minute drive, and then able to finally capitalize, taking it in himself. The QB run game this entire game has proven big, more so for LSU in regulation. Proved to be huge for the Aggies on that overtime possession.
Joe Burrow, 2 touchdowns passing, 1 rushing tonight. And like Mon, takes off with a tailback blocking in front for 6.
Effectively the same play, as you mentioned. You're just going to run a stretch play into the boundary with your quarterback and a lead blocker out in front. And once again, first down efficiency for LSU showing up again. That was Joe Burrow's 20th carry. That was a design carry on that run.
And it's 21 carries, and it's a first down to the 11.
That time Joe Burrow pulling a Travion Williams. Quarterback counter, and he sticks it right up in the middle. Kingsley Kiki had a chance to make the tackle. Burrow runs right through it. Able to pick up a first down. And just outside the 10-yard line, LSU can still convert.
Burrow, end zone chase, incomplete. Could not bring it down to the ground as that ball was resting next to him.
Working against Miles Jones, and it looks like a catch to me. Does he bounce it out? Does he lose possession? And Miles Jones punches it out right as Chase is going to the ground, and he has to survive the ground. That ball was coming out. You see Jones splitting the hands of the receiver, and he knocks it out before Chase goes to the ground. That's twice Miles Jones, in effectively the same scenario, has been able to rally and use that 6'4" frame of his to deny a would-be touchdown catch.
Leon Renfro was ejected for targeting in the South Carolina game, which pressed Jones into action, and he has been one of the starters since. He prevents Chase from scoring that touchdown there.
That was textbook. You talk to these defensive coaches, defensive back coaches, you split the hands of the receiver, especially when they're trying to high point that ball. Jones able to knock it loose before what would have been a touchdown. Right now you look at it, 2nd 10 on the 11-yard line. LSU can get a fresh set of downs. A&M was able to get it down there and was denied the end zone by the LSU defense on a 2nd and 10. Can the Aggies bow their necks and keep the Tigers out of the end zone here in overtime?
Burrow with Brosette blocking in front, and he's out near the 5. And to further the point about these attempts, his career high before this game in rushing attempts was 13, 9 more than that tonight.
He's been the difference maker all night long, and it's been largely as a runner. It's been the Joe Burrow show. When we talked about it coming into this game, A&M, they only give up 80 yards rushing. Not tonight. It's been more than double that, 185 rushing yards for LSU.
3rd and 4. Same play. 4th down at the 3. Landis Durham on the tackle.
That time a good job by Donovan Wilson of setting the edge. He came up quickly on Nick Brissett. You see LSU, they want to run this play quickly.
Brissett stretches to the goal line. Touchdown.
A&M was running around to get set still. Donovan Wilson able to slip out. It is Brissett's elbow. I wonder if they're going to take another look at this. Is it down? You see the ball right here. Here's his elbow. I wonder if they're going to take another look at this.
They are, in fact, doing that. And evidently,
they're saying a touchdown.
Are satisfied with what they've seen. Cole Tracy to send it to triple overtime. And we play on in College Station. The last game of the SEC regular season is quite possibly its best. So as you see the overtime rules, the things that change now is at the bottom of the screen. You must go for 2, beginning with this 3rd overtime. Each team kicking field goals in the 1st overtime and scoring touchdowns in the 2nd.
The story of this overtime has to be that LSU goal line stand. Otherwise, we never even make it to the 2nd one, much less the 3rd. And of course, the other story is Joe Burrow, career high, 23 carries, 80 yards. Nick Brissett got into the end zone. He's got fresh legs. The guy hadn't had to do much all night long.
Burrow, end zone, caught! D. Anderson.
A&M brought corner pressure from the opposite side, the left side of the formation. You see Renfro doesn't get home. Miles Jones, who was able to break up a would-be touchdown catch earlier, had a chance that time. D. Anderson just kind of casually reached over to the left side of his hip, came up with a catch.
Burrow with the home run ball after running it down A&M's throat in the 2nd overtime. And now must go for 2.
wasted no time getting in that time. At the top of your screen, this is Justin Jefferson.
Burrow rolls out. Got it. Jefferson.
They started with Jefferson out wide, and they moved him in motion all the way across the formation. And he's able to outflank Deshaun Capers-Smith for an easy two-point conversion.
And that's the first two-point conversion that LSU has executed this season.
Couldn't come at a more important time. Here is the goal line stand. It started with Rashard Lawrence, then Kellen Mond with a muddy read. He pulls it, and LSU stayed at home, and then nobody home on the third down pass attempt. Trying to throw to Courtney Davis and Kendrick Rogers' side of the formation. And LSU with a one-play strike in the third overtime. They were able to get the two-point conversion, as you mentioned, Taylor, and all the pressure now on Texas A&M having to score not only a touchdown, but convert a two-point conversion.
Will throw on first down. End zone incomplete. Just over the hand of Jamon Osmond.
So both offenses here in the third overtime going for home run balls. And that time too high. Greedy Williams underneath it. Grant Delpit over top. And Osmond in the middle. You talk about a difficult proposition. You're talking about two of the best defensive backs in the country. They can play the ball in the air, and unsurprisingly, an incomplete pass for the Aggie offense.
Ravion Williams with 173 rushing yards. As Gillespie will stand in front of Williams here. And a whistle and a flag.
I wonder, like Gillespie might have been a little bit early. He's going to say he was going in motion. It was right at the snap. That's what he's arguing, at least. It did look like he was moving laterally from his fullback position.
There's no foul for false start. The player went in motion legally. Replay that out.
So here's the 12th man, Gillespie. Now watch him. He's going to move laterally right before the snap. Watch him move this way. The flag came out. Matt Austin, as he explained, the false start. He was motioning laterally before the snap.
Well, they won't run that play as Gillespie comes to the bench, and Mond's back in shotgun with Williams to his left. All kinds of time, but nothing to find. Jump ball to the end zone. Rogers, I think, made that catch, and there's a flag. Wow!
With PI all over. How does he make this catch? But does. I don't think that ball ever made contact with the ground. Watch Terrence Alexander pull his left hand down, and Rogers stays with this football. It almost bounced off his chest and his shoulder pads and enabled him to make the catch.
Now, of course, he had an incredible game against Clemson and made a big touchdown catch, but they were not able to get the two-point conversion. They'll have to do that here to keep this game alive.
That is a huge target. You look at Kendrick Rogers on the hoof.
Pass interference, number 11 defense. Penalties decline, touchdown.
So here comes your two-point conversion play.
LSU converted their first of the season. The Aggies haven't converted one this year either.
And what they saw, they ended up taking Jefferson all the way across the formation. Jefferson started out up here. Here's Jamon Osmond. Probably their most reliable receiver prior to his injury.
To extend the game. Mond. Got it! It's Rogers again!
Why not stay with a hot hand? Kendrick Rogers with the touchdown catch and the two-point conversion. And we remain tied after 3 overtimes.
Are you happy now?
Kendrick Rogers has been battling injuries all season after that terrific 120-yard receiving performance and 2 touchdowns against Clemson. He hasn't had another one this year until the 3rd overtime, and he gets the 2-pointer as well. Aggies stay on the field, and it's Williams on the ground and near another first down at the 15.
And they missed a false start on Travion Williams on that carry. Travion Williams was early. You could see the LSU defenders after that snap. They couldn't believe it. There's an LSU defender on the ground now being attended to. It looks like Lynn Logan was able to get a key pressure early on during regulation. That seems like 2 days ago.
Might as well was. Braden Fehoko, of course, was the starter at his position for most of the season before a torn biceps against Georgia ended his year.
Heck of a strong finish to the end of that run by Travion Williams, but he was early before that snap. We already had Gillespie earlier as at fullback motioning laterally, but Travion Williams, he flinched right before the handoff. There was no flag. You can imagine 5 yards is kind of a big deal. Start looking at field goals. As you see Williams, he kind of tilted with his left shoulder and arm. You can see the LSU defenders pointing, saying, hey, that's a false start. No flag. It ended up being a first down run for the Aggies.
Good to see Logan walk off the field. Are you having any fun here tonight, Matt?
I mean, I'm trying to push through. 49 points, you kidding me? There's a streak on the line. This is for the 2nd place in the SEC West. Serious bowl implications. You got a first-year coach in Jimbo Fisher trying to get a signature victory. It doesn't get much better.
Williams, no place to go, and he is swallowed up by Neil Farrell.
Indecisive on this run. It's getting strung out, just get out there. That time kind of floated a little bit behind the line of scrimmage. Farrell did a good job of stringing that play out. Of course, another fine product out of Mobile, Alabama. A big negative yardage play for the LSU defense.
Mon rifles another one, and Osborne can't make the catch, but here comes the flag as Jacob Phillips levels Osborne at the end of the play.
Yeah, they're gonna.
Personal foul, targeting with the crown of the helmet, number 6 of the defense. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down. Play is under further review.
6'4", 230-pound linebacker Jacob Phillips dropping back. He's just trying to separate the receiver from the ball, and you can see they won't allow you to strike a player anywhere with the crown of the helmet. You can see Phillips lowering his head also to the head and neck area of Osborne. But the crown of the helmet also would be operative here on that targeting penalty on the field.
Phillips has played a whale of a game, 11 tackles tonight.
He has. He's shown up in coverage as well a time or two versus Sternberger, the tight end for A&M. And he has been very active. Got a couple of pressures early on in the first half. But I'll be surprised if he's able to continue in this game. Coach Orgeron saying, look, he's the receiver's trying to make a play on the ball. My defender, and I get the point that's being made, because Osmond's trying to catch the ball. He lowers himself at the last second.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Number 6 is disqualified.
Meaning that Phillips will have to miss the first half of the bowl game, whether that's in the New Year's Six or someplace else.
Well, and he'll also miss the rest of this overtime period, and a first down again on the 8-yard line for the Aggie offense. And LSU down a linebacker. And it's not the first time they've had to deal with this.
And part of the rule that I don't like here is him having to go to the locker room. At least let him stay on the sidelines. Gillespie back in front of Williams. And Williams follows his big fullback inside the 5, down to the 4. 2nd and goal.
A new wrinkle we haven't seen all game, as you see Phillips exiting Kyle Field. That time A&M brought orbit motion. That means the motion man goes behind the quarterback and the running back, the entire formation, trying to pull the LSU defenders' eyes wide and away from the play. We've seen this play many times this game, downhill out of the pistol. That time with the lead blocker in Gillespie.
Mon scored on this play 2 overtimes ago. He gets nothing this time. 3rd down.
Well defended by Patrick Queen. Sets the edge, gets out wide. Jacoby Stevens as well coming up. Getting upfield on Kellen Mond. That play was pretty much dead from the get-go. LSU had it flanked, did a great job of running to the perimeter to deny Kellen Mond. As you mentioned, that was the play they effectively had the same success. Were able to get into the end zone. That time Mond denied, setting up this 3rd down.
Did not punch it in the first frame when the Aggies could have won the game on a 3rd and goal. This time Mon extending the play over the head of Sternberger, covered up by Delpit. 4th down.
Well covered in the end zone. That's been the story mostly of the second half, where Kellen Mond hasn't felt like he had anywhere to go initially with the football. That time he threw all the way back towards the middle of the field. Delpit in coverage. And A&M, with this secondary, lucky to have a possession to even kick a field goal here.
So Seth Small with another chip shot. And the 21-yarder is straight through. So LSU can now win it with a touchdown in the 4th overtime and qualify for the New Year's Six. You saw Coach O, if you're just joining us, you watched Notre Dame beat USC. He took a Gatorade bath near the end of regulation as Grant Delpit had his 6th interception of the season, but Kellen Mond's knee was down before he threw that interception, and the play was overturned upstairs. The Aggies would go on to score a touchdown on the final play, and an incredible catch by Courtney Davis. And we have played into the middle of the Texas night.
Now A&M only with the 3-point lead. And of course, a touchdown here puts it away for the Tigers.
Fake to Fournette. Burrow to Moreau inside the 10, and he holds onto the ball as Pryor tries to pry it loose. 1st and goal.
Donovan Wilson had a nice break on this ball. You can see Burrow with the ball fake to the right, and Donovan Wilson was just a hair late. And Moreau, who has come up big in this game, back-to-back games after a career high last week versus Rice. And Jimbo Fisher desperately trying to get a timeout, and does.
So a timeout by Texas A&M in what is LSU's first ever 4-overtime game. You remember the thriller they played against Arkansas, which they lost in 2007, which was 3 overtimes before they ended up winning the national championship later that season. Last time Texas A&M went this far in a game was 2011.
I think LSU had another overtime game that 07 season versus Kentucky. Also ended up losing that one before they went on to become national champions.
Also in triple overtime.
How about them apples? Now, as you see it here, the first down snap, Jimbo Fisher ran out, wanted to get a timeout. He was talking with Buddy Johnson, the linebacker for A&M, who split out now over Jefferson.
Leonard Fournette down to the 6. Fournette has gone from being buried on the depth chart to scoring his first career touchdown last week and playing a huge role tonight.
Opened up the entire game. First play of the game, a pass to Leonard Fournette. Ended up getting, look at him, talking with Kevin Falk, one of the best running backs in SEC history, certainly in LSU history. Can't learn from anybody better than that.
Brissett back in. Burrow follows him, changes direction, wrapped up. Tyrell Dodson the first to him, third down.
Well, both offenses trying the right side of their offensive line. Both defenses doing a great job of avoiding being flanked. That time turned Burrow back inside. As you see A&M substituting in a couple of DBs. Now their pass rush look. Tyree Johnson coming into the game as well.
Can I confirm that Doring, Chiz still do a show SEC now after this is over?
Oh, they're eating this up, buddy. This is the last regular season game. That's probably I think this is their last SEC now of the season, and they want to get the most of it. They can thank us later.
Staying until the wee hours of the night as they are coming up after this is over with.
You can bet that both of these sidelines, boy, there's a lot of overlap between these two programs. When you start taking a look at the head coaches, what all's involved, what all went into Jimbo Fisher taking the head coaching job at A&M, and Ed Orgeron being named the head coach at LSU. For both of these programs to be hinging on these overtime periods to determine who's the second best team in this division behind Alabama, and perhaps even a Sugar Bowl Peach Fiesta for LSU. A lot on the line, and a streak to be broken perhaps for A&M.
Burrow takes off, down at the 3. Landis Durham on the tackle, and Coach O says kick it.
We want to take a look at it though, didn't he? He leaned in there for a second. Coach O, and you see Burrow, boy, he is battle weary. Number 9 for LSU has seen a ton of work, and it hasn't all been designed, but he has battled. You could see why the LSU coaching staff was so taken with Joe Burrow, and he has earned his stripes tonight.
Cole Tracy, one of the best in the country, from 21 yards to send it to a 5th overtime.
Play of game, offense. 5-yard penalty.
Wow.
Remains 4th down.
Now, you could argue that the angle is improved.
He has to hit less of a draw now than he would from 21 yards.
But this was clearly not designed, as you see the consternation on Coach Orgeron's face. Certainly not pleased after Tracy split the uprights.
Transfer from Assumption College, has made 92 field goals in his career. Now from 26. (52-52), and we're headed to a 5th overtime.
No, I'm checking the date.
Yeah.
I mean, it says Saturday night. We need to change it to Sunday morning if this keeps up.
Is it December yet? Well, we're going to go watch this play here as we get ready for the 5th overtime. And Burrow finds Torrey Carter for his first catch of the game in the 5th overtime.
I think that's the 11th different receiver for Joe Burrow. So he's spreading it around, and he's certainly been given plenty of time to do so.
Only his 3rd catch of the season for the sophomore from Leesburg, Georgia. Throw set on the toss to the 11.
Well, here's the thing, and we touched on it earlier. It's been Joe Burrow left, Joe Burrow right, Joe Burrow scrambling, maybe a couple of throws sprinkled in. Nick Brissett, he's had a pretty quiet night. I mean, we're talking 14 rushes now. We're in the 5th overtime. So if anything, you got fresh legs, and of course he's back over on the sideline. The #1 running back for LSU tonight has been its quarterback, #9, who's under center now.
It's been a while since Edwards-Helaire has been in the game. Here he is. Looks like he's going to throw. Carter, touchdown. Why not?
Well, if Burrow's going to be your runner, then Edwards-Helaire naturally should be your passer. And Torrey Carter should be the receiver, who we just mentioned gets almost no targets and now makes 2 catches in the 5th overtime.
Now, how does that conversation start? Is Torrey still here?
That's right. Get him in the game. You see number 44 coming up with a huge catch here in overtime number 5.
Injured Aggie. Miles Jones played another outstanding game tonight. Sophomore from Magnolia, Texas.
We've mentioned Jones a couple of times tonight, and he has come up big. Gave up a touchdown in one of the overtimes. They're running together at this point, but he has also denied 2 touchdown throws in the end zone. Very well defended. He's putting no weight on his leg on the way off the field.
LSU converted a 2-pointer for the first time all season in the 3rd overtime.
He's got Foster Morrow all the way to bottom of the screen.
And a miscommunication with Jefferson. So the lead is 6.
You see Jefferson a little bit frustrated at the end of that play. But as it is, a 6-point lead for the LSU offense. We talk about time of possession, about first downs that pile up for both of these offenses, and that's been their story. The A&M defense, the LSU defense, they've seen some snaps. LSU's run 85 offensive plays. A&M has run 97.
Must score a touchdown to keep the game going, and then can win it if they get the 2-point conversion. And facing the rush, steps up and takes off. Inside the 5 to the 4.
Mon sees the rush lane. This is a pass all the way, but he ends up scrambling. You see the umpire, maybe with the key block that time, was just enough to slow down Micah Baskerville and allow Mon to pick up another 8 yards. You see Rashard Lawrence.
2 LSU Tigers
and
down.
Michael Divinity.
Yep.
Keep in mind they are without Jacob Phillips, who has been ejected for targeting in overtime. This would be in Divinity, yet another linebacker. He'll obviously have to leave the game for at least one play. If he is in fact okay and can return later, he'll have to leave for one snap, as will Rashard Lawrence.
Divinity had the 58-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown that Devin White caused in regulation.
They run around the quarterback and just collide into one another. You see it right here. It's friendly fire. And they're just rushing the passer as best they can.
Well, it's a 1st and goal for Texas A&M from the LSU 4-yard line. And Gillespie, the fullback, back in there in front of Williams. Travion with 33 carries tonight and 186 rushing yards.
LSU without their two of their starting linebackers and a starting defensive end.
And here he is following Gillespie, but cannot get the edge as that speed from Stevens shows up again.
I mentioned Jacoby Stevens earlier. This is a heck of a play by number 3. He has been in coverage a lot tonight with Jay Sternberger, and this time sliding off the blocks, gets upfield, forces a negative yardage play. A&M, they get 1st and goal, and they start going backwards. This will be their 100th offensive snap.
From the 5 on a 2nd down. Empty backfield. Mon loses more yardage. Patrick Queen, who almost had an interception some 3 or 4 hours ago with the tackle for loss.
That was really poorly blocked that time by A&M. QB draw all the way, thought they were going to catch LSU dropping. Patrick Queen did a great job getting upfield again. Back-to-back plays. Great job by the LSU defense. That's their 12th tackle for loss tonight.
A&M with as many as 2 plays to go 6 yards and tie it. Mon into traffic, incomplete. 6 players down there, 2 for the Aggies. It hit Kendrick Rogers, 4th down.
He had Jay Sternberger, came off of it. See him came off it pretty quickly. Had plenty of time this time. Only 3 rushers. Again, Devin White right there. And as you mentioned, 2 receivers right on top of each other. Kendrick Rogers with the circus catch earlier that time. He and Jamon Osmond right on top of one another in the end zone in an incomplete pass.
Jimbo Fisher calls timeout on a 4th and goal. His team has been at the brink numerous times tonight. Converted a 19-yard touchdown to send the game to overtime, and already converted a 4th down and a 2-point conversion to keep the game going. We'll have to do it again here.
Well, Dave Aranda said earlier, as you can hear the officials, they're trying to get the Aggies out of their huddle. They want both the teams out there and playing. But he didn't want Jimbo Fisher to beat him. He wanted to come down to Kellen Mond. You've got a 4th down play, and your opponent has to score a touchdown to tie it up. LSU had a chance to put it away. It's in the 5th overtime now, and it comes down to this.
And now the Tigers call timeout as Coach O runs all the way to the end zone.
Coach O looked like he was about to take out the line judge.
Ed Ogeron, 57 years old, showing off the speed.
Look at this. I thought he was going to take him out right there. Form tackle.
Guys, credit to both of these teams on both sides of the ball. On field level, these guys are absolutely exhausted. A couple bending over, having trouble breathing. Even Joe Burrow having trouble putting weight on his right leg. Both of these teams thriving on some adrenaline at this point.
As you can imagine, more than 4.5 hours in, and it might end on this play if LSU can stop the Aggies.
Well, it's hard to think, where do you go with this football? Because they've had different guys step up. Has it been Rogers, Davis, both with big catches at the end of this game and in overtime?
Mond, end zone, touchdown! Rogers again!
Mond stepping up in the pocket. Didn't flush out. Kept his eyes downfield, and he's able to hit Kendrick Rogers, who they have listed at 6'4". This guy is 6'6" if he's an inch. And he has come up huge. You mentioned the big game he had versus Clemson. Kellen Mond had a career day that day. This is an even bigger performance.
Now for the win. If A&M gets it, it's over. If LSU stops them, we go to a 6th overtime. Mon with all kinds of time, and it's incomplete. He wanted Jamon Osborne, but Greedy Williams was all over him, and we go to a 6th overtime at Kyle Field in College Station. Way back in the 4th quarter, Kellen Mond throws the interception to Grant Delpit, but his knee was on the ground. Call overturned after Coach O was doused with Gatorade. Then the clock expired. They looked at it, put a second back on. Last play of the game, Courtney Davis with a 19-yard touchdown. That just simply sent us to overtime. And then since then, these two teams have done the same thing in each of the 5 sessions. So let's play a 6th.
Hey, it's been a lot of fun prior to this. Why would you want to wrap things up now? And plus, they're out of Gatorade. They've already dumped it all on the LSU sideline.
Coach O takes the bath, but a little too soon. And this has turned into the game of the week on rivalry weekend, and Mond has Sternberger! Touchdown!
He was lined up at wing. It's a formation we've seen a lot this game. We haven't seen them throw it this game. And Sternberger's lined up at wingback, just off the hip of the tight end. He usually likes to be in a 3-point stance and attached at the end of the line, and A&M going to take a timeout to talk about this next snap. It was just a matter of time before 81 showed up in this overtime period. And keep in mind, he caught a pass earlier, and it looked like it was a completion. Delpit seemingly caused the fumble, and that's what led to this.
Remember the Matt Jones marathon games? Arkansas beating the Rebels and then beating Kentucky a couple of years later. Well, we're at 6 overtimes as the Aggies have to go for 2. And I noticed on that touchdown that the home of the 12th man, known for their yelling and staying in place at halftime and cheering, were a little tempered with their enthusiasm, probably because they're out of voice.
Yeah, they had to have blown it out by now, right? Because you practiced last night, and you can't go half-cocked and yell practice. You got to really cut loose. But you're only counting on 4 quarters, maybe a couple overtimes. Nobody preps for a 6th overtime yell. and as many traditions as A&M has, they're fresh out of traditions, man. They've used them all up. They're going to have to cook up some more to spill over into overtime.
What a game.
The world's your oyster from a receiving standpoint. They've all contributed now here in the overtimes.
Mond, Rogers again, why not?
Watching Kendrick Rogers is a big dude working against Kerry Vincent. I mean, what are you going to do? That's a jump ball versus a 6'5", 6'6" receiver. Kerry Vincent goes about 5'10". He's given up half a foot. That's before Kendrick Rogers jumps. And this kid has come alive here in overtime. And keep in mind, made the big catch to set up in the 2-minute drive before A&M clocked it. It was Rogers with the big catch along the boundary.
Scratch what I said about the voices. The 12th man is back.
Yeah, they're pushing through, man. They went and got some Ricola breath mints or something.
Burrow with his best performance as an LSU Tiger, down to the 17.
It takes a shot. The third big shot. He's taking a lot of shots in this game. A third big shot. He was limping around earlier, but he bounced right up after that run.
LSU must score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Brosette wrapped up. Big loss. Alaka, the first one to him.
Alaka knifes upfield right now. Watch him undercut the block. And Brosette, who's trying to string it out and floating. Dalen Mack is there to finish it up, as is the balance of the Aggie defensive front. And Alaka, the leading tackler for A&M, comes up with a big negative yardage tackle. Missed a couple of practices due to the concussion protocol. Showing up big on that overtime snap.
Burrow. Jefferson makes the grab inside the 5, first and goal.
This ball hung in the air almost as long as this game has gone on. It just kind of floats. It looks like it might have gotten picked by Alaka as LSU's over the football quickly.
And Burrow keeps it himself. Touchdown to LSU. Now it's the 2-point conversion to try to keep the game going.
Great read right here by Burrow. As you see A&M crashing down, Tyrell Dodson too far upfield, and Burrow able to get underneath the edge defender for the Aggies and into the end zone. The 28th carry for Joe Burrow in this game.
LSU does have a timeout, and Coach Orgeron will call it.
Now coming into this game, LSU in the red zone have completed 9 passes. They are about as one-dimensional an offense in this part of the field as you'll find.
It was 31-24 LSU with 1 second to go in regulation. Now we have a combined 130 points. LSU needs 2 more to send it to a 7th overtime. And their 7-game winning streak against Texas A&M is on the line.
Now earlier on the 2-point play that they converted to Jefferson, they sent in motion. It was just like a sprint out. They ended up having a flood concept. Multiple receivers to one side of the field. Joe Burrow just hit Jefferson on the run. This time a different formation.
Burrow got it. D. Anderson says he's not ready to go home. Dick Vitale in Cameron Indoor Stadium once said, "I want to stay here all night." That's what we're doing in College Station today. Is it Sunday yet? We play on.
I do it for the
smallest big saw you'll ever use. Get yours today.
So if LSU wins, you can count on it. They're in the New Year's 6 in one of those 3 games. If the Aggies win, they could be headed to the state of Florida for a bowl game for the first time since 1957 in what was Bear Bryant's last game as the head coach of the Aggies.
I think this game started shortly after that.
Burrow, home run ball. tangled up in the end zone, and the flag comes in as D. Anderson with a one-on-one battle with Larry Pryor.
It was Charles Oliver, I think, in there for the injured Miles Jones. Miles Jones ended up.
Pass interference, defense number 21. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Well, you're right, Oliver came in there after Jones got banged up. Oliver a starter most of the season.
You can see he just panics right here. Hadn't seen a lot of snaps. You're in overtime. D. Anderson, who calmly made a touchdown catch earlier, working against Miles Jones, the cornerback whom Charles Oliver replaced. And Oliver that time with a PI to try to deny what he thought would have been a touchdown scoring catch.
Burrow running all night into the end zone, touchdown.
When we talked to the A&M defensive coaches, we asked them, who does Nick Brissett remind you of? They said, he's got a little Darius Geis. We should have asked, who does Joe Burrow remind you of? As a ball carrier, of course. Because none have been more effective than he has as a running back here tonight.
It's a career high for Burrow. Meanwhile, Donovan Wilson, standing senior from Shreveport, Louisiana, down. The alpha male of this group, especially in the secondary. 5 interceptions 3 years ago as a freshman. Had one last week against UAB, his 8th in his career.
Kind of hobbling off. Looks like it's that right knee that already had some type of a wrap on it. Maybe he got torqued trying to make the tackle, and Joe Burrow spinning his way into the end zone. As it is, both these teams getting some solid 2-point conversion practice in for next season.
This is higher than the Tiger Aggie basketball score. This one deflected, and even though it's caught, it's short of the goal line as D. Anderson makes the catch. So the Aggies can tie it if they score a touchdown, but win it with a 2-point conversion. Kendrick Rogers has been unstoppable for Texas A&M since they went to overtime.
Quite literally. How does he make this catch? We still haven't figured that one out. Comes up with another big one along the back end line. And then, of course, another big snag. That one will carry Vincent. Number 13 has been a menace here in the back end of the fourth quarter, the final drive, and certainly in the overtime periods. Number 13 emerging as a go-to target. But they'll start this overtime with Kendrick Rogers on the sidelines.
How about that history made on Kyle Field tonight in College Station? The last game of the year in the SEC is the game of the year period. Travion Williams still running hard, down near the 12 on his 35th carry.
A&M opens the overtime in 10 personnel. No tight ends, 1 running back, and they got the box count that they wanted. They had the numbers to cover up the defenders, and it took Grant Delpit coming up and again making an open field tackle on one of the best runners in the conference, of Travion Williams.
First and 10 for the Aggies from the LSU 12.
A&M staying same formation, this time to the opposite side of the field.
Mon takes off, but goes down. Devin White.
It looked like there was miscommunication on that one. Because Travion Williams looked like he was setting up to pass protect, and Mon took off almost like it was a QB draw. I don't think he bailed on the throw that quickly. Travion Williams was stepping up, looked like he was ready to pick up a blitzer or a second-level pass rusher.
It's a loss of 4 Aggies can get a first down at the LSU 2. And throwing behind Sternberger, incomplete, third down.
Last two plays for the Aggies offensively out of sync. After getting a big run from Travion Williams to open up this overtime, you get Mond on what looked like a QB draw, at least for what he thought was a QB draw, and then a bad ball. And of course, there's bound to be a few bad plays when you've run 106 of them.
Well, this will be a school record 107th.
Rogers in the game now, right here, the bottom of your screen.
Mon, strike to Davis, touchdown.
According to Davis, I guess he felt like he was getting overlooked. Rogers getting all the attention. So why not catch another touchdown? It was Davis with 1 second on the clock after making 3 catches prior to get A&M down the field that scored the tying touchdown.
Who has the football here for Jimbo Fisher?
Well, we've seen Rogers, who's right here in the middle of the 3, and Sternberger, who's been relatively quiet, other than the big catch for a touchdown, the one play overtime. And Jimbo took a look at what LSU was going to do there, called timeout, wants to talk it over with his quarterback.
Ed Ogeron livid with his defense after giving up that wide open touchdown to Courtney Davis.
He can't believe it. You know what part of it is? It's because I've been wet for 30 minutes with this Gatorade. This dry fit stuff doesn't work nearly as well as I thought it would.
It's a game that's about to be 5 hours long, running nearly 200 plays. But it can all end here if the Aggies convert.
And you've got options across the board. And keep in mind, though, the LSU at times throughout this overtime has done an excellent job blanketing coverage. Mon would have to buy time in the pocket. LSU only committing 3 to rush here, it looks like. And they do.
Mon, Rogers fighting for the ball, pass interference on Greedy Williams.
It was going to be another jump ball in the corner.
Wow, how about that?
Another flag. And the field judge threw his hat. He was out of flags.
Pass interference, defense number 29, half the distance to the goal, repeat the try. Following the play, unsportsmanlike conduct number 29. That penalty will be enforced half the distance to the goal also. We'll repeat the try. That's 29's first unsportsmanlike of the game.
So this ball will be snapped inside the 1 yard line after 2 penalties called on Greedy Williams.
You see Williams after the PI. He's telling the field judge about it. The field judge said that's enough. He's getting tired of this game too. These refs have been out there a long time.
I don't think I've ever seen that, where you're out of flags so you throw your hat.
It's probably the most convenient thing he could grab. And now you're right there. If you're Ed Ogeron running down once again to get his timeout, because you're right here on the goal line after the unsportsmanlike. Here he goes again. The second time he's had to take off. The second time he almost takes out the line judge.
When Dave Aranda's giving him instruction to do it.
He kind of smiles. You see Coach O just kind of looks over to the stands and smiles.
How about you take off, Dave, and you call timeout? Chris, how are these guys still going at it?
Well, the staff is making fun of Coach O, saying he's still got it and pretending that they popped a hamstring.
I'll tell you what, he broke nicely on both of those timeouts.
All the officials blowing their whistle. They're ready to see this one come to a close. And we have made history in College Station tonight. Play clock is running down inside 15 seconds. As Texas A&M will go right to the line.
3 tight ends in the game and a fullback.
And a false start.
You broke the huddle late, the play clock.
5-yard penalty. Repeat the try.
Keaton Sutherland, who was starting at right guard the last few games, starting at left guard tonight.
And this, of course, changes things. See the left guard trying to get a quick jump. Coach O loves it. He's good and loose after that timeout call.
That's just the 3rd penalty called on Texas A&M tonight.
Well, it came at a horrible time if you're an Aggie fan, because it was obvious what they were about to do. Slam it right up in there and see if they couldn't get it in for 2.
Rogers in the slot. From outside the 5. Mon looking that way. Got it! It's Rogers! The Aggies win the game of the year in the Southeastern Conference. Texas A&M ends a 7-game losing streak to LSU. Jimbo Fisher has his statement victory as the head coach of the Aggies, and the rivalry is on. Here he is with Chris.
Coach Fisher, you nearly lost that one 3 separate times. What did your team prove to you tonight?
That we're running in the right direction. We can overcome adversity. A long way to go to get back. Tell you what, the heart and soul of these guys is amazing, and how far they came and learning to play with confidence in big moments.
What were you telling your team in that final drive like 2 hours ago and in between each of those overtimes to keep it up?
You walked on the field, you got to believe in 2 minutes. We worked 2 minutes religiously, played hard. Guys, I can't say enough about all the players, Kellen, everybody. But, I mean, just you got to believe you're going to do it.
As you finished second in the West, where does this match the expectations you had for this program going in?
Listen, my expectations are to be at the top, but we have to take steps at a time. We progress. We let some games slip away later on, but it's a heck of a conference. We got second in this, and hey, that's a starting point. Now we got to get better and move on.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
LSU overcomes every kind of obstacle imaginable, but they cannot dodge the final bullet, as Kendrick Rogers was unstoppable in each of the overtimes, and he makes the game-winning catch here.
It doesn't end any better than this. It could have ended a bunch of times, but it couldn't end any better than this for A&M. As you see, Ed Ogeron can't believe it. They had this game won multiple times. He got the goal line stand on a 1st and goal inside the 1-yard line. You turn A&M back, you force a field goal, and after 6 OTs, the Aggies able to get to their 8th victory.
74-72, the highest scoring game in college football history. Man alive, it doesn't get any better than this.
Can you put into words how you pulled this one out?
Just a team that is always going to keep fighting, and that's what Coach Fisher emphasizes. You know, we're going to keep competing, we're going to dominate, and this team never quit, and no matter what. And we knew coming into this game it was going to be a tough game, but this team never quit, and that's what I love about it.
Walk me through the final drive of regulation and how you kept your composure.
just the same thing as practice. Coach Fisher has us prepared so hard, so when we come out to the game, it becomes easy, and we just kind of thrive and trust everybody else on the field.
We talked about this rivalry and this streak. What does it mean to finally snap this 7-game losing streak to this team?
This is what we play football for these big games like this, and when we come out with a win, it's an amazing feeling.
I appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here's what I think is great about this. Look, first of all, the scene that we see at Kyle Field is one thing. Playing around on Twitter as we're going through these overtime, the entire country got to watch a performance from Kellen Mond, got to watch Joe Burrow, got to watch both defenses try everything they could, both offenses make big play after big play. Look, welcome to the SEC Network. If you don't watch a lot of it from wherever you are in the country, this is not typical SEC football, but my goodness, we're glad you were part of it.
Yeah. How about some of the play calling that went on down the stretch? And
nothing. Travion Williams touchdown.
Hey, I thought he was physical tonight. I thought he played with great vision.